What a weekend in sports. I mean, you got Final Four all set for you. Now, I don't really think the tournament was all that hot, but all four seeds. Number one are now, I mean, now, now you're talking about all four number ones are in San Antonio. What do you set up here with? Auburn in Florida, SEC. Duke in Houston, four best teams in the country. That was one. Major League Baseball, we have a controversy in baseball. The torpedo bat. I love it. And it happens to be the villains of all of sports, the New York Yankees. How great is that? The Yankees have brought being a villain back to baseball with the torpedo bat. They hit like 700 home runs in the first series. I love it. Drama. Yankees. Can't have it any better. Sports do not live unless you have a villain and a good guy. Bad versus evil. Good versus bad. All of that is great for sports. Theater. I love it. We haven't had any kind of controversy in Major League Baseball since the steroid era. I don't give a shit about the first series of the year in a 160-plus game year with the Phillies. I could care less. Look at the leadoff spot. What about moving the run? You're like, come on, guy. That's boring talk. Nobody watches baseball. Okay? You watch it after 20, after the All-Star break, then you start getting towards the last 25 of the regular season, then you get into the playoffs. Baseball's too long and drawn out. Talking about the first series of the Phillies is stupid. Nobody wants to hear it. They want to know about 24 days until the NFL draft. What's your favorite team going to do? The NFL has made it so that now they own the front page of the sports page. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Angelo Cataldi will join us. By the way, we got a great week lined up so far. Jim Lampley's going to join us this week. One of my friends and one of the greatest sports broadcasters of all time. And we will bang it around with him. Don't have a day set yet. Tomorrow, Craig Carton's going to join us. That'll be at 3:30. We will talk with our friend from FS1, former WFAN and WIP host, and legendary Angelo Cataldi today. We will have him at 3:30. Xander will join us at 4:30. JAKIB will hit us up tomorrow also at 4:30. Again, we have an absolutely great week lined up again like we did last week. And we're doing that. Why? Because everybody else is taking layups. The tush push seems to be the number one topic of conversation down at the NFL owners' meetings, sitting down there in Palm Beach at Breakers. Breakers is a pretty good place to go, too, by the way. It's a legendary place. NFL owners have been going there now for many years now, and it's really a cool place. I've been to Breakers numerous times. I dig it right there on the water there in Palm Beach. It's a great place to hold NFL meetings. And the owners are all down there along with the NFL head coaches, all 32. I saw a picture with Nick, with the other 32 coaches. Pretty cool stuff. Again, it's like their small convention. You know, the combines and these NFL meetings, this is kind of like their convention. Please hit the like button, guys. So the tush push. I saw Sean McDermott. Why wouldn't he make a comment about the tush push? The Bills are playing the Eagles this year. Why wouldn't you try to get that out of the game plan? I wouldn't. Even if I didn't believe that the tush push was something that was a football play, I would do everything in my power as the opposing coach to try to do anything to try to throw the Eagles off. I don't have a problem with what he's saying, but we all know, again, He's doing it because he doesn't want to play the Eagles with that play. All right. You're probably going to get the banning of players being pushed from behind once the ball is snapped. I don't really give a shit. That play's not why the Eagles won the Super Bowl. You could be arguing over so many different things. That is obnoxious. The tush push will have no effect whatsoever on the Philadelphia Eagles' 4th and 1 plays. They'll have no issues with it. Shit, just wildcat it and snap it to Barkley. Let Barkley push it in. All right. This is stupid. Stupid shit. Absolutely. The Eagles have the best O-line. The reason it works is because the Eagles have the best O-line in football. It's plain and simple. You think the shitty New York Giants could run that play? Why couldn't the Giants run that play? 1, they have a shitty quarterback. 2, they have a shitty O-line. You got one of the most dynamic runners in the sport at quarterback, and you have the best O-line and the best O-line coach. I don't know about you folks, but when you add those 3 things up, I know why they're good at that play. It's a stupid thing. You know what the NFL should be doing? Some of the rule changes that they are talking about. By the way, we're going to get Rich McKay, the chairman of the NFL competition, on again here on the program. He's the head of the NFL competition committee. He's the chairman. We'll have Rich McKay, the president of the Falcons, on. I've already made a call to him, and he's willing to do it again. He's been on, I think, twice, and Rich will do it again. He'll join us, and we'll get his takes on all of this, especially this week if that play gets outlawed by the NFL. So I saw that, New York can maybe overturn some calls, or if calls have been missed, the NFL can pick up flags or what have you. I like roughing the punter. Roughing the punter? I don't remember anybody going crazy about roughing the punter. You know what, though, for me? How about roughing the quarterback? Some of those lame-ass calls that refs make when it comes to roughing the quarterback, picking flags up, New York being a little bit more judicial in how those flags are thrown out. That I get you want to protect the quarterback. I get how important those players are in the league. But if you want to start doing something to make the game look better, okay, you want to start doing shit to make the game, start doing the right thing when it comes to quarterbacks getting hit in games. Those are stupid. Here's another one here. I'll tell you exactly why the NFL wants to ban the tush push. Remember the NFC title game? The linebacker dude was jumping over, and it was really a bad look for TV. It's not a very good TV play. Everything has a place in the NFL. That's not an exciting play. Do you know what what do you think the most exciting play in pro football is? What's the most exciting play, in your opinion? Tush push is not an exciting play. It's a boring play. Nobody wants running football teams because they look boring. A 75-yard TD run, he says. A 50-yard TD pass. What's the most exciting play? You know what it is? Simple. It's simple. Pass interference. It's the gambler's number one play in how you bet on football. The NCAA tournament wasn't very exciting this year, but the gamblers loved it. That's a gambler's play. Pass interference is the gambler's play because it determines outcome of games. Will he call it? Will he not call it? The ball being thrown in the air can change the outcome of a football game with one call. All by the ref. All by Park Avenue. Because they're spot fouls. It's a spot foul. In college, it's a 15-yard penalty. The most exciting play late in a ball game is whether or not the ref calls PI. The league determines the outcome of games by that one play, pass interference. You know why? Because it's subjective. The tush push is not subjective. They get it. They get it on their own hard work. Pass interference is league controlled. The most boring play in all of football is what? The extra point. Why do you think the extra point is still in the game today and has never been touched? Because it goes to commercial timeouts. After you kick a field goal, NFL makes money on that play. They make more money on the extra point than any play that they have in a 4-hour broadcast. That's why that thing's never gone away. Kick a field goal, kick a timeout, go to commercial break. Ding, 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 cash register. Cash register. Ding, ding. It's a stupid play. Why don't you, if you just score a touchdown, you get 7 points? No way. It's a commercial timeout. It's a great way for the league to go and sell ads. That's why that thing never goes away. It's the most boring play in football, the extra point. What's it there for? Makes more money than any other play in a 4-hour broadcast. Remember, follow the money. I'm not saying it's rigged, but pass interference is an essential part of gambling. The push is a shitty play. It's boring. The Eagles are the only one that mastered it. Sean McDermott lying about injuries. There's no injuries to that thing. Making shit up. They want to ban it because one team has an advantage because they've done so well coaching it and drafting to it. And it's a boring television optics play. 1 yard push. 1 yard push. Dude, nobody likes a running football team. They want to air it out. There's a reason every single year they change the passing game rules and they don't change the defense rules. Here's another one. The Eagles put a blowtorch to the number one defense this offseason. Why? Because they don't care about defense. The league doesn't care about it. They only care about offense. You took a blowtorch to the number one defense in pro football, and you didn't think twice about it. They want points. Why? Gambling. Simple. Dude, all you have to remember when you talk about the NFL is follow the money. Okay? Just follow the money. Hit the like button, guys. Supers go to the top. I have a question to ask before we go on to the topics today. By the way, don't forget Angelo's going to join us at 3:30. All right. Who do you want to see the Eagles play in the opening night of football on Thursday of this year in September? First week of September. Who do you want the Eagles to play that Thursday? What date is that? First week in September. That Thursday's date is the opener of the National Football League. Do you want to see the Chiefs? Do you want the Lions? Do you want the Cowboys? Do you want the Bills with the reigning MVP? Sills, who are the Eagles rushers Clint Hurt likes in the draft? I'll write that down for you, brother. That's a great question. I'll tell you exactly who he likes. The Rams. That's another good one. I don't want the Vikings. The Vikings don't have their quarterback unless it's Aaron Rodgers. If it's Aaron Rodgers, I might look at the Vikings. The Bucs, not bad. The Bucs have beaten them 2 times in a row. Washington, I'll tell you what I'd like to see them play. I'd like to see the reigning Super Bowl champions versus the reigning NFL MVP and Josh Allen that Thursday. I'll take Josh Allen and the Bills in the opener at Lincoln Financial. What's the date, Kyle? What's that date? The first week in September. That's going to be the date that opens the season. Josh Allen versus the reworked Eagle defense on the first Thursday in September. September 4th is the opening of the NFL season. It's always the first week in September. I mean, there's the opener. Right there, baby. Who would you want? I'm taking Bills. I got the Bills in the opener, man. Bills and Eagles. Damn. That's a great way. Hey, by the way, Bills and Ravens and Chiefs are all favored to be the opponents potentially for the Eagles in Santa Clara, where the Super Bowl is being held this year in the Bay Area. That would be great. The Lions would be a great opener too. By the way, real quick before we get going here, the new defense that you guys have this year will be playing football against Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Bo Nix, Matthew Stafford, and Baker Mayfield. Shit, Baker Mayfield's got a winning record as a Buck quarterback against the Eagles. Stafford owns a Super Bowl. Bo Nix put a nice rookie year in. Jared Goff even has a winning record versus Patrick Mahomes. Caleb Williams has got a lot of new talent around him. Jaden Daniels, obviously, is 1-2 against the Eagles after his rookie year. Russell Wilson, a player that Howie wanted. Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Mahomes, a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Jordan Love, one of the up-and-coming stars in Green Bay. Prescott, winning record versus the Eagles. And the MVP, Josh Allen. That's pretty formidable. That's pretty formidable in what you're looking at this year. No mistake about it. It's absolutely. Okay. Hit the like button. Let me do this to you. Here are the important dates that are in line for the Eagles as we get into these topics here. April 21st, the beginning of all-season workouts. April 24th and 26th, the NFL draft, which is 24 days away. And 31 days away from today, the Philadelphia Eagles have to decide if you're picking the 5th-year option up of Jordan Davis. 31 days from today, you've got to determine where you are in that conversation. Is it cheaper to pick up the 5th-year option and pay him $12 million versus offering him a 3-year contract? If that's me, I'm not giving him a contract extension. I'm picking up the 5th year with no extension to give me more time and what I plan on doing for him and how the draft board falls. It makes no sense to give Jordan Davis a contract extension when you don't know how the board's going to. What if Walter Nolan's there? Are you going to pass on him and maybe potentially a better ball player? Jordan Davis cannot be given a contract extension. You don't know how the draft's going to go. You could have one of the top 3 D tackles sitting there at 32. And because you gave him a 3-year option, you're going to let the better player go by in the draft because you made a fundamental mistake when you didn't have to. Remember, the 3-year contract extension is more money because it's the signing bonus. There's no signing bonus in a 5th-year option. My opinion, this is an opinion now, if the Eagles don't give him an extension, they will move on from him. Especially if the guy down there at 32 is who I think it's going to be. Now, again, putting names down there at 32 is preposterous. You have no idea what the top 31 teams are going to do ahead of you. You have no idea. I mean, you're pretty much at the behest of the board and what happens. You're hoping for more quarterbacks, more tight ends, potentially some running backs that get drafted in the first round, more than one kid from Boise. You're hoping for things that don't go normal in this draft so that those edge rushers and potentially, hey, let's do this. If there's a better edge at DT at 32, or there's a better edge than a DT at 32, he probably goes edge. If there's a better DT than edge, he goes DT. That's where I think he's at. You can't be anywhere. There's not one name you can land on. You can land on about 5 names when you're picking at 32, unless you're moving up and you got to trade. There's no other way to look at it. Hit the like button, guys. We appreciate it, okay? There's no other way. So how much do you look at that in 31 days, the contract extension? I think this all goes in how important the draft is coming up here in 24 days. Jordan Davis is going to know his place with the Eagle organization in 24 days. If they go edge at 32 or trade out of it, they're going to give him a 3-year extension. They pick a DT at 32, he's out. He'll be out after the 5th-year option. But you get a chance to hold him for 2 more years. And who knows, maybe he plays himself into a contract. And he keeps showing his importance. For me, right, and again, I go back and forth on this. I get it. He's important to the scheme of the defense. We've talked about it. But as we're getting closer, we're 3 weeks out now from the draft. 3 weeks. 3 weeks this Thursday from the draft. Okay? We're now here. Teams are getting their boards ready. Decisions are going to be made. Get this. Sinbad says he's not going anywhere. Again, that's a stupid take. He's not an $18 million player. Jordan Davis, and to some extent, Moro Ojomo and Milton Williams were better players. That's a given. He wasn't better than them. He's never. Actually, in the last 3 years, Jordan Davis has been the worst of the group of D linemen you have. He hasn't been better than Milton. He hasn't been better than Sweat. He hasn't been better than Carter. He's barely better, if any, than Moro Ojomo. I mean, and he's the 13th pick. I don't know what that guy's sitting there looking at. Sills, you don't like Davis? No, I don't like the money that Davis is going to command. I could spread it I could put it somewhere else. Or I could draft a rookie because listen, what if Nolan Smith has a 10-year sack year? I'm not paying Jordan Davis north of $10 million. I'd rather give it to Nolan. You can't pay everybody on that side of the ball north of $10 million with contracts coming up with Cooper DeJean and with Quinyon Mitchell and potentially Nolan Smith. You got two guys you got to decide on what you're going to do with Dean and what you're going to do with Davis. Dean can't stay healthy. Davis is not productive enough. Nolan Smith, who would you guys rather pay? Nolan Smith or Jordan Davis north of $10 million? I'd rather pay the edge rusher. Right? Howie's got to determine, who am I paying? That's why they're taking a DT at 32. If the DT's down there they want, they're taking him. You know why? I don't have to pay giant money for Jordan Davis, and I could pay that guy for the next 3.5 years on a rookie contract at around $1.5–2 million. Get away with that. Ship Davis, trade Davis, and pay Nolan Smith. Howie's showing you what he's doing now. He's moving money around. Who's easier to replace? You got away with winning a Super Bowl without a dynamic pass rusher. You won the Super Bowl because you stopped the run. It's a great question. It's a great question. Hey, Hargrave couldn't play the run. Okay? He could not. Sirianni preaches for players to connect the Georgia Philly dog guys on defense. Listen, the whole team's philosophy is more important than stats. Well, wait a minute, Arthur. That's not true. Finances are more important than anything else on the team. That's not true, Arthur. Arthur thinks this is about kumbaya. That's not what this is, dog. This is about fucking money. How to spread it around and build a great team. Arthur doesn't want to put money into the equation because he thinks it's about passion and loyalty, and it's not. Loyalty has nothing to do with professional sports. Nothing. You're loyal to your family, to yourself, and to your profession that you play and the tape you put out there. That's the only loyalty you have. Okay? Because teams will move on from you like you're Milton Williams or Josh Sweat. Even if you perform well. Think about what Milton Williams and Josh Sweat did. Let me get to this topic here. So the loss of Jaylen Carter, the loss of Josh Sweat and Milton Williams will have what effect on Jaylen Carter? You want to see some preposterous postings here? Start reading this. How you doing, Maniac? What kind of effect, if you think there's a positive effect that he had on those players, what's the effect that those players of that skill not being on the front four is going to be? Safety class stinks. One of the worst safety classes around. I'm not saying that this isn't true, but money will Hey, get this. He's right. Sills, you made a segment last week for the reason for the Eagles to keep. What changed? I didn't say anything changed. It is important. It's totally important. Finances change everything. Ask Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. Okay, Gabe. Who would Howie rather pay? if both players were productive this year, you're not paying Jordan Davis $15 million a year and 45 or 42 to Carter, 30 or 25 to Nolan Smith. You're not paying that. And 18 to Zach Bond. Who on offense goes? You're not. How many people believe this numbnuts? That they'll pay both Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith in excess of $18 million and $25 million with a $42 million defensive tackle and an $18 million fucking linebacker. Who in their right mind believes that? Nobody in here but this guy. Nobody. How he showed you. He showed you. Okay, so what's the impact of not having Milton Williams and Josh Sweat going to be on Jaylen Carter? I think significant. You can't play defense by yourself. Ask Aaron Donald. You better have really good replacements. And I know many of you think they do. Okay? I know you do. You think you have guys on the practice squad, second and third team guys that will take the place of first-time starters in the NFL. I know you do. You believe Jalix Hunt is going to take over for Josh Sweat. It's a fucking joke. You believe that Moro Jomo is going to be as productive and as versatile as Milton Williams. He's a good-looking prospect. You have prospects. How does that affect Jaylen Carter? A lot. How does that affect the linebacker play? A ton. For the record, who's the backup defensive tackle right now for Jaylen Carter and for Jordan Davis inside right now? Who's the backup? If Moro Jomo's starting and taking the place for Milton, who's the backup inside for Booker? He's now your number one backup. Okay? We'll find out how he plays in a new role. Do you know how many players that you have in a new role this year? Tons. And you're playing some great quarterbacks. I can't wait to see how this thing unfolds. I'll make this point to you. If Vic Fangio does what he did last year, this year, that guy's got a straight ticket to Canton. I don't believe it. I don't. Last year, you had veteran guys. Now you have first and second year guys replacing these dudes. Let's see. Hey, let's see if Jaylen Carter continues to improve with lesser players around him. Or how about this? Not lesser players. Let's be fair. Lesser experienced players around him. What is Howie cooking with $26 million? Sills, perimeter edge? That's not the finances I heard. Sills, I have to call you out on your hypocrisy. You said not being able to stop the run. That's not what I'm saying here, dude. I'm not telling you that the nose tackle is not the most important. It's not hypocrisy. The NFL, Anthony, I would love to keep Jordan Davis. At what price? Hey, okay, Anthony, you tell me. So you believe, Anthony, that in 31 days or within, the Eagles are going to give Jordan Davis a 3-year contract extension, knowing full well they're going to give $42 million to Jaylen Carter. Is that right? Do you believe that? Hey, Anthony, I want to keep the kid. You can't keep the player because you have other positions to pay. Okay, so you're getting rid of Nolan. If Nolan Smith puts up a Xander Krause year and has 12 plus sacks, is Howie paying him $30 million? Yes or no? Who goes on offense? AJ? He's showing you he's moving money. AJ Brown goes? Okay, so to keep both Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith and paying them the money you want, Anthony, you're cutting loose AJ Brown, right? Nolan Smith will make north of $25 million for as young as he is if he puts a 12-sack year in. How are you? By the way, what I want to do, you don't believe the Eagles wanted to keep Milton Williams and Josh Sweat? Of course they did. Hey, Anthony, you want to know what hypocrisy is? Developing players, drafting them right, and then those guys overachieving and then getting rid of them at 26 years of age. That's hypocrisy. You didn't believe it last year. Look how it turned. Hey, didn't believe it. You had Josh Sweat on the team. Actually, if you guys go back and play the tape, I said Josh Sweat would have a bounce-back year. And he did. To the tune of $19 million. Okay? Hey, Bob, don't get the impression I don't think he's not important, and that's Fangio's scheme. But finances are playing a factor on this Eagle team. Here's the current money situation right now. Philadelphia Eagles right now have a total cap of $290 million. They have cap space of 17.9. Do you know what their dead cap is? $65 million. That's third in the league. Right now in dead cap money. They got $65 million of dead cap money on their cap. You do some of the shit that you guys want to do, that number will go higher. Now, you can defer that, like I told you could, but that's their money situation as we speak right now on March 31st. And you just saw Howie take the eraser out and the whiteout out and white out salaries on the defense. Isn't it funny? Nobody was taken away. Well, Goddard looks like he's going. By the way, Goddard's going to have a little bit of a cap hit too. Okay? Look at this guy. Old news, Junior. We are now in 2025, moving on towards the beginning of the new season. It's all good, man. Stay on your parade float. It's no problem. Let the grown-ups do the conversation on moving forward. All right? There you go, kid. JD gives up top 10 run defense, offer him 10 per. JD gives up a top 10 run defense, offer him 10 per. Would he take that, or would he go somewhere else and onto the market and demand more money? I don't think anybody's paying that guy $18 million to play 20 plays somewhere else. He's more important in Philly than he is anywhere else. You got 4 weeks to decide this. Actually, I don't think you do. I think you got 24 days to decide this, what you're going to do. I would make this comment to you that I think that the Eagles in the next 2 weeks are going to decide what they're going to do. Probably pick up that fifth-year option because it's cheaper. I'm not telling you I don't want them on. That's not what this conversation is. I'm telling you they're going to make tough choices here coming up. Either someone's going in the next 2 years here if you want to sign all these guys because you're not signing them all. Howie just proved that to you. You let 3 quality guys walk out the building and never even made him a contract offer. Why? Completely over money. These were all money moves. Oh, Sills, everyone knew that they weren't doing Josh Sweat. Why? Money. Okay. We were never going to offer Milton Williams the money to stay and play at that number. Okay? That's a money move. Gardner Johnson, the $8 million, completely 1,000% over money. Think about what you did. Okay, there's 8, 19, 37, 26, $63 million in salaries you let walk out the building. Over money. 100% over money. And you still got $18 million in cap space. You could have made something work. I'm not saying you could have made a whole shitload of things work here. But you got some decisions to make. You got 3 weeks to decide what you're going to do with Davis. Not 31 days. AJ's gone in 2 years anyway, if we're being real. Let me ask you this, Anthony. All shits and giggles aside here. You think they contemplated trading him to New England before New England ended up landing on Stephon Diggs? I don't think it was a heartfelt, let's get rid of AJ. But I think if there was a proper deal out there for AJ, they would have thought about it. Because they need the money. Now, again, I'm not saying they were going to give the dude away. Okay? But we know this. New England did call. New England called him. What's the availability of A.J. Brown? Howie wanted the 4th pick and some other picks. And New England said, you're crazy. And Howie probably returned and reciprocated by saying, you're crazy too. Or whatever the pick is. I think they're 3. I forget where they are. Okay? I mean, that guy's the key thing for me that made the New England Patriots an exceptional organization. They moved off of players a year before and still had a little bit left in the tank. And you know what they never did? They never got completely loyal to any player over 20 years. Richard Seymour, Darrelle Revis, Randy Moss, go down the line. They never fell in love with a player in New England. And when that player's contract was up, Stephon Gilmore, they didn't care. They moved off him. That's what made them successful. Not getting bogged down by names on the back of the jerseys. That's what made them exceptional. AJ has 2 more years here. Smitty has a long-term answer at wide receiver. Neil, if he's got 2 more years left, I would make this point to you. Well, that means I'm moving off of him after 1 because I don't want to move AJ when he's got nothing left. I wonder if Howie will spend more on offense. Howie will always spend more on offense. The Philadelphia Eagles are never spending a ton of money on the defensive side of the football. They will never. That's never going to change. They are going to, hey, there'll be another A.J. Brown in that building. You can guarantee you. They will get another A.J. Brown in there. Younger, tad bit cheaper. Okay? They're going to get another one. There's going to be another Barkley in the room. That'll be a tougher replace. Of the 2 superstars that are in the huddle right now offensively that will be tough to replace, Barkley's going to be the tougher replace than A.J. Brown. Okay? You were in a Super Bowl with AJ. You won the Super Bowl with Barkley. Not AJ. He's the guy. That will be the tough replace. You had 2 really good backs in DeAndre Swift and Miles Sanders. Sanders had 1,300 yards, 4th all-time in Eagle history. That wasn't good enough. Barkley was the exception. Would Howie spend anything on defense? Yeah, you're going to spend north of $40 million on Jaylen Carter. Dude, I think these next 24 days is going to be interesting because, again, you've got the Jordan Davis decision, and what you do at 32 is going to determine what you do long-term with Jordan Davis. Because if you take a DT, the extension gives them 2 years. They move off him. You got an heir apparent in the building. You're not paying a ton of money. You still got Davis for 2. It makes sense. And it's not overly expensive. $13 million today or $12 million today. I'm picking up a 5th. See, he's 3rd tier. He's no Pro Bowler. Jordan Davis is not a Pro Bowler. So he falls to that 2nd and 3rd tier. If you had made a Pro Bowl, your upper tier, your extension's bigger. But he's not. So, I mean, dude, okay, here. You've got 24 days to decide what to do with him. And like I said, you got to determine this. If you're the Eagles and Vic and Clint Hurt, how much of those players are going to impact Jaylen Carter's production this year? You think you guys are just going to pick up the mail the same way that Josh Sweat and Milton Williams did last year for Jaylen Carter? And you're under the assumption that less double teams are coming. I don't buy that. And I think that's going to affect your linebacker play. Because who's your backup? Booker? You've downgraded in your secondary, just in your rotation guys. Jeremiah Trotter's not as good as Oren Burks. The replacement for Isaiah Rodgers is not as good. I mean, shit, the replacement for Fred Johnson's not as good. They're just not yet. We shall see. I think it's important that you make sure. Let me ask you this. Do you guys agree? It's important to put really great players around Jalen Hurts, right? It's important. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. You guys said it's important to have really good players in that offense around Hurts, right? All right. Isn't it important to have good players around a $42 million player in Jaylen Carter? I mean, the players that are going to be playing around Jaylen Carter are not Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata level. I mean, wouldn't you want really great players around Carter to elevate his game? Let me say this to you. You think having Jerome Brown and Clyde Simmons on that Eagle D-line helped or hurt Reggie White? How important was it that you had those kind of players on your defense? There were no Moro Jomos on that defensive front with Gang Green. That's me, and I'm Howie, especially with the investment that I'm about to make here for Jaylen Carter. I'm going to try to make sure that I get the youngest, the best. I'm not going to try to. Here, are you really telling me that you guys believe? See, you piecemealing your edge rushers now. That's a way to put good players around an exceptional player. How come you're not piecemealing it on the other side of the offense? Nobody's piecemealing anything. You got a first-round draft choice in Devontae Smith. You spent $32 million on A.J. Brown, and you're piecemealing your edge rushers to go on each side of Jaylen Carter? How's that philosophy not on both sides of the ball? You're piecemealing everything. You're getting guys who've been blown off of all these rosters. You're not doing that on offense. You're not doing anything. Get this. Seriously, you guys shop at Neiman Marcus on offense. You shop like at some sort of TJ Maxx and Marshalls on the defensive side of the ball and say, those guys, if I get 6 guys like that, hey, I'll get 12 sacks out of them. What kind of logic is that when you're about to spend $42 million on one player? Hey, I'll get 12 sacks out of 10 guys. What kind of logic is that? How is that logic? If I'm going to get this too, here, So you invested $18 million in Zach Bond, right? You're about to invest $42 million. And you want to put $2 minimum wage pass rushers around Jaylen Carter. Whereas around Jalen Hurts, you put top flight superstars around him. Good luck with that. Let's see if you can do it again. You're going to try to piecemeal your way to the Super Bowl again. Okay. And I know many of you believe that these signs that you signed are going to find the fountain of rehabilitation in Philly. Still, the key players in the front seven will be supported by rookies and short-term players. Carter, Bond, and one edge. Pick one. Smith, Hunt, or a rookie. Pierce or Green are the key to build around. Yes. Yes. Jordan Davis is not part of the future of this conversation. He can't be. Here's why. They're going to spend money on Q, on DeJean, on Bond, on Carter, and one edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to spend money on 5 players. They're not going to spend money on a safety unless it's a nickel and unless it's DeJean, because he can do more and he's multitasking. There's 5 guys who are going to make big money on that defense. Shit, on offense, both tackles are high money. Guard, the center's going to be. Running backs, high paid money. Quarterbacks, high paid money. Both wide receivers are high paid. Shit, the tight end is high paid. The entire offense, except for right guard, are all high-end money guys. There's 5 dudes that will be paid on defense, and that's how they're going to do it. They're not paying for a nose tackle for $18 million. Never happened. Especially if Smith pans out. They're counting on Smith and Jalen Hunt to pan out. In the next 24 days, you're going to know what and where they're going, especially on the opening night of draft. If I say, without a doubt, they're landing on a defensive tackle. If he's there, the kid from Michigan, the kid from Oregon, or the kid from Ole Miss. If one of those 3 guys are there, they would take that player more than an edge rusher, whomever they like, the kid from BC, Tennessee, because financially it makes sense. You got away with no edge rusher in the Super Bowl. In 22, you had a guy with 19 sacks counting the playoffs. Didn't matter. The key was stopping the run. Jordan Davis never lived up to his ability. That's why you're moving off him. But you need a nose. You know how Xander was saying a couple weeks ago? I want him to play more 3. You don't think the Eagles do too? You don't think the Eagles would rather have had him play where Moro Jomo was going to play? That was the vision. It wasn't the vision of him playing nose. You got moved to nose because you're the lesser player. I mean, Milton Williams should have been playing nose this year, not Jordan Davis. They wanted Davis out there on the edge playing defensive end. 4'7", 6'5", athleticism out the wazoo. Production didn't result in that. He's been an underachieving player. Now, when you put him in that role of nose, he's very good at it. Is he exceptional? He's not Vita Vea. He's not the guy in New York Giants. He's not the guy in Tennessee. So you got to determine what we're going to do here. And again, watching Howie move around money. Again, I mean, right? Dan, do you think it's a possibility that O-line would go in round 1 or no? Am I going to draft an offensive lineman at right guard? Is that a real need when they've been interchangeable the last 2 years? Is that a real need right now? Or can I get that in the second and third round? Is that a real, is that something that's a real need right now? Don't forget, Angelo Cataldi will join us. Give me a total on the likes, guys. You guys have been great here on this Monday. 24 days away from the draft. 31 days away from that decision on Jordan Davis. I mean, I don't think it's a priority to draft an offensive lineman at 32. I could get a guy at 32 or whatever that second pick is at 64, and I'm good with it. 64, 32, I think it's the same guy. I'm not drafting a first-round offensive guard, right guard, and using that to put over there. That's not where I'm at. I think that's a waste of a pick. Offensive lineman, where's he going to play? How about this? If you draft an offensive tackle, okay, say you draft an offensive tackle like the kid Simmons from Ohio State at 32. Why would you do that? To draft a first rounder, turn him into a swing tackle? I could find a guy like Fred Johnson. Make a guy that's capable of being a swing tackle for me to play 15 plays a game if I need. Why am I drafting a first rounder who's not going to get any playing time? He's a first rounder, and he's what? The potential heir apparent in 4 years now from going in for Lane Johnson? That's not for me what I'm looking at right now when I look at that and say, that's something that I want to do. I mean, that's not where I want to be when I'm sitting there at 32. That's not happening here, man. So, again, at the end of the day, when I'm looking at that number 32 pick, that number 32 pick's got to be either a DT or an edge. Is the lack of spending on the defense a nod towards Fangio? Spend more on the offense because we always lose our coordinators. Get Vic young talent since he's been staying in Philadelphia longer. Just a thought. Look, man, you want, but here, Muggsy, here's the one thing, though, for me. If you're going to pay Jaylen Carter $42 million, I want to put as many good players around him as possible. I'm not going to put piecemeal players around him. That's what you've done so far. And everybody in Philly, and I do mean everybody in Philly, is biting into it. Well, Vic will find it off the dollar rack. And you're going to put that next to a superstar player. Why would you? You wouldn't do that for Jaylen. Do you know what you guys signed? You guys signed the equivalent of Jahan Dotsons on defense. Hoping a former first-round pick will find himself because he's an Eagle. Jahan Dotson was a top 20 pick by the Washington Commanders. He was a first-rounder. And he's been suspect at best in Philly. And you want to put those kind of players, Jahan Dotson players, around Jaylen Carter? Sills, do you think Nolan Smith is that kind of dollar store guy? No, but I want to see him do it for 20 weeks or 17 weeks. I want to see Jalix Hunt do it. Dude, those two players are in the same spot, especially Nolan Smith. Hey, dude, the kid that you signed, that Joshua Uchi, that kid had 11 sacks one year. A couple of these other guys have had multi-double-digit sacks like Bryce Huff, and they suck. Don't get yourself excited about the 7.5 sacks. Those guys all had great 1 years, and they blow now, hoping to have their careers rejuvenated. Okay. So you're trying to tell me you're going off the notion that Nolan's going to continue to excel. Okay, fair enough. What happened to those other guys? Like Bryce Huff and Joshua when he was up in New England. What happened to them? They fell off the map. Do I think Nolan Smith will? I don't know, but I don't. There's no way. I completely disagree with Xander. Xander completely disagrees with me. That guy is not replacing Josh Sweat and his production. He's not getting 70 tackles or 60 tackles and nearly 10 sacks and giving you 40 sacks over 5 years and staying healthy. Not a chance. We'll see. By the way, that guy's been playing with a bad knee, and he's been relatively healthy for the last 5 years. People keep telling me that Josh Sweat's got a bad knee. Well, I haven't seen it in 5 years. Have you? 49ers, the worst team in their own division. I wouldn't go there. I heard John Lynch talking with York today, and I think the 49ers are in trouble, but I don't think the 49ers are in a position where the 49ers are going to be the top team in the NFC. I think they'll be in a conversation where they're going to be in the top 5, but in the top 3 teams, they're not Washington, Detroit, or even the Rams. Okay? They'll probably be the second team. You're right. I mean, Arizona's coming up. Seattle looks pretty good. I don't know. That's going to be a pretty good and competitive division, the NFC West. Seals, if Hunt and Smith have equal production, it will make Smith expendable. No way. He's a first-round pick. How he's not moving off a first-round pick? He'll move off a Hunt before he'd move off a Smith. They invested a first-round pick, first-round money, first-round evaluation, scouts. Now, Smith may be a Howie guy. I mean, Hunt may be a Vic Fangio guy, but they're not moving off Nolan. Nolan Smith is going to get every opportunity to win that job. Hunt is under contract longer. This year, there are several true nose tackles to replace Davis, like the kid Phillips at Maryland, round 3 and 4. You could get those guys in that round between 3 and 4. I completely agree. Rolla, appreciate you guys. By the way, Angelo Cataldi is going to join us at 3:30 Eastern time. Dan, Eagle ownership has the equity to earn everybody's patience. Let's give these new guys a chance. Not saying not to. You have no choice. Rolla, this is not a conversation of what you're going to do over the next 24 days. This is more of a conversation on what you have and what you need to maintain to make sure that it keeps you in the conversation as a Super Bowl favorite. Remember something. The self-inflicted wounds that you did to yourselves because of spending so much money on offense. You understand that, right? You did all this damage to the defense because, one, you don't really think much of defense, even though it won you the Super Bowl. And it was the difference in the 22 Super Bowl versus the 24 Super Bowl. I know they see that, and I know they know that. Get this. Get this. Okay, here's this. A team, this is a stupid take from a stupid person. As usual, this guy is without a doubt has to be one of the all-time top 5 worst take guys that show up here each and every single day. He's fucking the worst. The Philadelphia Eagles aren't a 12-5 team. The Philadelphia Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. There's a giant difference between being the Cowboys and what this numbnuts thinks. This guy's the dumbest guy in here. No. Wait. That's Dick Track and sometimes M. Reyes. Sorry for the collateral damage there, M. Reyes. Okay? I mean, okay? This guy right here, he's so confusing. Honestly, man, It's like watching CNN. I'm so confused. What? Watching him is like watching CNN and MSNBC. What? Yeah, I actually like this guy. Seals, do you think Herbert's better than Purdy? Not close. Absolutely not close. Oh, man. Look at this guy. He fucking cooked you, Seals. I'm not even sure what that means because I'm not in tune with your lingo. Bruce Banner, Peter Parker. I know that you have dolls in your house. Anybody with the name Bruce Banner? Seriously, dude, I bet your comic books and your comic book stack is at least 5 feet tall. Tell the truth. Come on now, kid. Come on now. Bruce Banner. All right, guy. Feels that Stone Cold. What is that? Hey, wait a minute. I'm not sure what that means, Sue. Okay? Look at it. Hey, wait. Don't use profanity at me. Hey, how dare you, Bruce, use profanity at me? You dare use profanity. Let's see here. Hey, I'm okay. So do I. Hey, Bruce, so do I. All right. Hit the like button here if you can. If you could stomach, hey, Bruce Banner, wait a minute. Bruce Wayne. That's your new name from now, Bruce Banner. It's Bruce Wayne. How you doing? Holy shit. Sills was like the rest of us. Roland, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You guys are great. Yeah. Okay. In the newest movie, Hawk is Red. That's Bruce Banner. As I said, Angelo Cataldi's going to join us. Yeah. Hey, Bruce Jenner. Oh, man. Too good here. Too good. Oh, one thing here before I move on to the next topic. I got it. I love the NFL. So now at the owners' meetings, the National Football League is now talking about going over and playing over in the Middle East. And they're starting to talk about like here, and this is what I wrote on my Twitter page, my X account. So the NFL wants to talk about rights for all the injustices that go on in the NFL. Hey, civil rights, end racism. Hey, make sure you look out for your next man. Well, they now are going to try to play games in Abu Dhabi, the UAE, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, including reports of arbitrary detention restrictions, freedom of expression, prosecution of activists, including human rights violation. This is where the NFL wants to play. And you're trying to tell me about right and wrong in America and racism. And you want to play in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, you guys will believe anything. Okay? That league does the right thing. Now they want to play in Abu Dhabi, where civil rights are a no-no. And if freedom of expression is a no-no, but the NFL wants to play in Abu Dhabi. Hey, I know those Saudis have a lot of money, man. Hey, they're for sale just like anybody else. That's what goes on at the NFL owner meetings. How you doing, man? Hey, end racism. Civil rights. You know who to vote for. I'm not going to the White House for Donald Trump, but you'll go to Abu Dhabi. Think about that. I'll debate whether I'm going to see the President of the United States, but I'll play in a game that prohibits freedom of speech and has atrocities against people who protest. Go get them, NFL. How you doing? Yeah. Just ask the PGA. They know what sellout's all about. That's what they're debating down there at Breakers in Palm Beach. The tush push and playing games in Saudi Arabia and an 18-game schedule. Hey, player safety. You know, we really care about the player safety in the NFL, you know. Player safety is the number one thing. Yeah, you're adding a game. Yeah. Oh, this stuff gets too good, man. Holy shit. This stuff just gets too good. What the hell is Goodell going to do? Start playing games in North Korea? He's going to be in the booth, Martin. Yeah, they're going to play games. You bet your ass they're going to play games in Saudi Arabia. Don't you see what they did too? They made it so that equity firms can come in now and buy 10% of these NFL teams so that they can have hedge funds. Most of the hedge funds in the world, the number one hedge funds in the world, if you know anything about money, are all Middle East and Saudi Arabia money. That's why they did it. They saw what the PGA did. So they're opening up equity firms now to go in there. Jeffrey Lurie just sold 8% of his team for over what? $3 billion. He got more money selling 10% of his team than what he did paying for the team outright. I mean, these guys are sharks, man. Oh, yeah, if I had a question down there for Elliot Spitzer Shore, my question to the owner this week, hopefully they'll have some balls to ask him, would be, so when are the contracts coming? How many people believe the contracts for Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni are coming this week? Maybe Howie. Maybe Howie. Maybe Howie. I would ask that question. Oh, and retrofitting money. When do you go to the fine citizens of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Philadelphia taxpayers and ask for upgrades or building a dome so you can host the Super Bowl? That's coming too with ticket price raises. Do you understand that that's getting ready? They're going to ask you guys for $300 million to retrofit Lincoln Financial. Do you know that? You know why I know that? ESP will start asking those questions out of the gate down there at the owners' meeting. They brought their puppet down there, and he'll ask those questions, and it might get released this week that Jeffrey Lurie needs about $300 million in retrofitting Lincoln Financial because he wants to host a Super Bowl. I do think it would be pretty boss having a Super Bowl in Philly. I do. I think the last championship game was held at Franklin Field. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was at Franklin Field. Was the last title game. That's back in the 60s, I think. So that would be pretty cool. I'd like to see that. Kyle, I thought Sirianni was the puppet. Nick's going to get money, man. $300 million for a retractable dome. Thought it would cost way more. It might. It might. That money, hey, that ask is coming. Massive ticket price increases are coming. Hey, when you win and you're the Eagle fans, I'd rather pay those ticket prices for the Eagles than I would for the Flyers or for the Sixers. I wouldn't have a problem paying more money. You put a championship team on the field. I'm not bitching about that. Price tag goes up. You don't think paying for Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and all this, you think he's paying for it. He ain't paying for it. You're paying for it. But that's okay. When you're a fan, you'll pay for it when they win. I don't have a problem with that either. I have a problem hearing Josh Harris talk to me. Dan, what do you think of Tyler Barron? 6'5", 260. I heard Howie looking into him to help potential replace Sweat. Kid from UM. They were good on the edge. Bain's the best player down there. He's not ready for until next year's draft. He kind of goes away in games sometimes. And I think you can run at him. 6'5", 260. He's a great. I was expecting more out of him this year. I don't really think that Canes defense was very good. There's really nobody on that defense outside of Bain that I like. I don't like the 2 D tackles in there. As I said, the edge rushers are okay. You really don't get a good sense of what the linebackers are. And their secondary guys are pretty good, but they're not great. I mean, if I had to say, is there anybody on that Canes team? There's probably a couple third-rounders. But outside of that, this kid here included, I don't really think there's a lot of good quality kids there at the university. Look at this here. I like the Canes offense more than the kid that just ran a 4.8. I ran a 4.8. You can't be 260 pounds running 4.8s. Play in the NFL and play edge. Nolan Smith runs a 4.4. 4.3. I mean, that's exceptional shit. Yeah, I like this kid. I do. I like this kid. You know, the year previous, he's talking about the Miami Hurricane tight end, had a great year with Cam Ward. He had nothing. He was a no. I didn't know who he was. And this past season, he caught everything under the sun. And he showed a lot of great skill set and being able to block. The Canes offense was really good, especially in the offensive line. They've got a tackle down there that reminds me of Penei Sewell. This kid here, would I be in favor of the Eagles drafting him in the second or third round? Yeah. He's better, in my opinion, than the Bowling Green guy. I think he's the third best tight end in the draft. Tight end position's pretty deep. But the kid from Michigan, obviously the kid from Penn State, and I think it's him. I think those three guys, I do. I think those three guys are probably your dudes. Third round, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind the Eagles having him in the slot. Put him out there in the slot and having Rizeppo out there in the slot. I thought he was a good ball player. He's got great hands. If anything, Mr. International, he kind of reminds me of Wes Welker, Danny Amendola. He's somebody like that. Okay, so if you want to move him around and put him down there in the slot, he gets open. He's a pretty tough kid. He's not real big for the slot position, but I'm not putting him out on the numbers. I don't think he could play in the league at the numbers. I think he could play in the slot. It's easier to play in the slot than it is to play on the numbers. You got to be an exceptional athlete because you're playing against exceptional athletes when you play out there wide receiver and you're playing on the numbers. I think you get away. Yeah, you know what? Big Pickin'. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me he's an Adam Thielen type guy. Whatever you think of Adam Thielen or a Hunter Renfrow when he was really doing well with the Raiders, whatever you think of that kind of player, I think that guy, I tell you this, I think he's a better ball player than what you have with Dotson. Now, again, you guys don't utilize that position all that much. Okay? I mean, I don't think you utilize that. Harold Fanning, I voted for All-American. I thought he was a good player. I think he's a hybrid type guy, like you said. I think you could play him in the slot. I think you can run him in the backfield. Remember something, too. I hear a lot of people making the comments about Deebo Samuel being that hybrid type player. Dude, I got just as much respect for Cliff Kingsbury and what he could do with Deebo as I do Kyle Shanahan. The reason why Deebo Samuel's in Washington, is because of the intelligence of Cliff Kingsbury. He's just as good at getting guys open. As a matter of fact, I would say he's a better play caller. That guy, in my opinion, is a better play caller than Kyle Shanahan. You know why? He's worked with top flight quarterbacks more than Kyle Shanahan has. I mean, he's got a resume an arm long on some of the NFL quarterbacks that are all starting in the league. Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year. 3-time Super Bowl champion, Patrick Mahomes. Caleb Williams, number 1 overall selection. Exactly what has Kyle Shanahan won, or who has he developed? Jimmy Garoppolo and somewhat Brock Purdy. Okay, well, those other guys have won Super Bowls and MVPs. I think the guy in Washington's a heck of a coach. He'll be a head coach again once he gets out of that Bidwell contract that he has. Yeah, you know what? I can't say this kid's name, but I'll tell you about him. I'll make a comparison to him. I watched him on film. He's an athlete. He's a really good athlete. He had a great combine. That scares me. Anybody who had a great combine scares me. Because making a great combine doesn't make for a great football player. That means you train well for things you'll never be asked to do ever again. You're never going to run a cone drill ever again. You're never going to run a 40-yard dash ever again. You're never going to jump a vertical jump ever again. You're never going to be asked to bench press 225 reps ever again. That's not going to happen. Teams don't do that. Now, they have conditioning tests to get you ready for the upcoming season, but they don't go over all that shit ever again. And every time somebody tells me he was great at the combines, I pause on that. What's his tape look like? Like the kid from A&M. That Stewart kid, I'm out on him. I watched more film of him over the weekend. You know what I said to Brian Baldinger? So this guy shows up to the combines in Indy. And even Carl Dunbar said it was off the charts. And I said, yeah, but how come when I turn his film on, he's nowhere? He's lost in the crowd. There were 2 or 3 other players on that A&M team that were better than him. And every time I watched him, he made some splash plays. He did, but I'm not elevating a guy because he ran a great 40. I don't see it. Game tape to me is where it's at. What's the game tape look like? Are you active? Are you productive? Do you make plays? That is a Jimmy Johnson number 1 thing that you have to have if you're going to play for him. You've got to be productive around the football. The other kid on the other side, Kyle is a better ball player. I feel better. Get this. Kyle, you ready? The upside with him is better, this Nick Scouton guy, than it is with this other guy, Shamar Stewart. Now, what could happen with that kid on the other side of the football is that guy could have an unbelievable career because of the athleticism he has. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, before we get to Angelo Cataldi here, I want to make sure you guys understand one thing. You know that guy ESP that works over at WIP? Be prepared for this. Bob gave him a list of questions. Make sure you ask about ticket prices, retrofitting the Lincoln Financial, and also make sure you talk about the dome. I'm promising you this. You know all those salaries that you see and all the money that they have spent on this team? He ain't paying it. How do you think he buys yachts? How do you think the guy buys the yacht? That guy buys the yachts off of you. Hey, he bought that last yacht. Why? Off of you. He ain't spending any money off of the yachts. All right. I want to set this question up for Angelo here. Did Jeffrey Lurie get lucky? Or was he a savant? And here's where I'm at with it. Could you imagine if the New York Jets or the Seattle Seahawks or the Carolina Panthers picked the phone up and said, hey, Jeffrey, you know the guy you have in the broom closet? You know that guy, Howie Roseman, you fired and you turned it all over to Chip? I want to hire him as my GM. What do you think he would have done then? When Chip had the entire team to his fingertips and could do anything personnel-wise or money-wise. Did Jeffrey Lurie get lucky by that whole situation? Let's bring in our friend, the man, the myth, the legend, our dear friend, Angelo Cataldi. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing great. I actually bought this hat. It's the only Eagle thing I've ever purchased in my life, because when I worked at WIP, I got all that stuff for free. So this is the first swag I actually pulled out of my pocket and paid for. And I did it because I want to remember the championship. It's going to be a while before there's another one.
So wait a minute, Angela, wait a minute. WIP they don't send you, the Eagles don't send you any gear after all these years of covering them?
No, I am on my own now. I'm a free agent, but nothing's free when you're a free agent. So I bought this because I really loved that they won the Super Bowl. And based on this offseason so far, there will be no threat to win another one in the immediate future because, yes, Jeff Lurie got lucky. Come on. Of course he got lucky. Howie Roseman, all he did, he was at the craps table and he was just throwing sevens. Every move he made last year was brilliant. And then they went, oh, maybe we should let's cut some salary here and let's go like 20 million under the cap. Now, the cap was expanded to 22 million. They've still got almost 20 million under it right now.
It's 17.
And free agency's over.
Here,
so what are you saving it for? Another yacht? What are we doing?
Here's where they're exactly at right now, Angelo. The cap right now is at 290. They got cap space of 17.9.
Yeah.
They've got dead cap, which is third in the league. They've got dead money of $65 million.
Wow.
On that cap as of right now. And I'll start the question here for you. Of all the moves that they have made, what's the most troubling move so far? Getting rid of Gardner Johnson? Just in theory, blowtorching the number one defense, letting Josh Sweat, letting Milton Williams walk out the door without even trying to do any kind of negotiation to save him, or letting Slay walk out the building.
Yeah.
In your opinion?
Gardner Johnson, because he was more than a very good player. He was an attitude. That team, if you look at the last 2 years, that team that just won the Super Bowl, that defense had an attitude. And that attitude, Barkley's only been an Eagle for 2 years, right? And those 2 years they went to the Super Bowl. They won one. Barkley brings look, he's a pain in the ass. He's really a troubling guy. He speaks very profane. He's a very profane human being. He is not somebody you want as your role model. But he's a really good player, and he brought an attitude that you could see affected the other players. They let him go, and they let him go for not that much money. They certainly had enough money to keep him another year, and they let him go. Why? What are they saving their money for?
Here's what I have a problem with people, what they're saying in Philly. So you're under the notion that these guys that you brought in, that you shopped at TJ Maxx, are going to help Jaylen Carter. People keep going, well, hey, Milton Williams and Josh Sweat should write a check to Jordan Davis or to Jaylen Carter. Okay, that may be true.
Yeah.
But what about you're going to spend $42 million, Angelo, and you're going to tell me you're going to piecemeal your edge rushers with guys who have been blown off of other football teams? You put all these great players around Hurts on one side of the ball, and you're going to piecemeal it on the other side of the ball, why would you not want to put as many good players around Jaylen Carter as you do Jalen Hurts?
Well, you're right. Here's what they did, and it's a mistake. They convinced themselves, in the interest of saving money, that the real reason the Eagles' defense was so good this past season was Vic Fangio. And I'm not taking anything away from the coordinator. He was terrific. He got the most out of those players. The players they're giving him now, the most isn't as good as what they lost. You see, that's the problem. These guys have a much lower ceiling. Even if Fangio, even having his best year as a coach he ever had, he's not going to be able to do that 2 years in a row with a lot of different people. And you're right, the offense is pretty much intact. They didn't mess around with that very much. They just need a right guard, and they will probably be able to do that because Jeff Stoutland's a great coach also. But the defense is decimated for no good reason. For no good reason. Pay the guy. Well, here's the thing. You want to stat? The Eagles right now, with that $17.9 million on the cap, are 18th. They're 18th. They're middle of the NFL in 3 months since they won a Super Bowl. When you win a Super Bowl, you got to redo contracts. You got to find ways to get back under the cap. And they don't have to do any of that because they didn't spend the money this year. Why didn't they spend the money? Now, they will be asked that during the owners' meetings this week. You will get no clarity. Let me assure you. Jeff Lurie will be there, the owner. He'll talk. He'll give you no clarity. I know what Howie Roseman will say. The general manager will tell you, after you win a Super Bowl, I'm not going to make the same mistake I did 7 years ago. I'm not going to bring back players out of sentiment or out of emotion. He's saying, no, you went too far the other way. You went too far. You had the best team in football. You don't now. Why did you let that happen?
There's so many. They have 8 new faces on defense now. And theoretically, I mean, when you're adding new players in, you're replacing 5 starters. Even the backups. I mean, Oren Burks had a role. Isaiah Rodgers had a role.
Yes.
And these guys were minuscule money. See, to me, the Oren Burks stuff and the Isaiah Rodgers stuff, why do they just believe that much in the young talent that they've drafted? Or is this really just an ownership move or money move? Because why did they just really, I mean, Angelo, they really don't really look at defense as a high priority in Philly. They won the Super Bowl.
No, we used to say they don't regard linebacker as a high priority. You can't say I don't regard defense as a high priority. That's how you just won a Super Bowl.
I know.
It's ironic. After Barkley, Johnson, the next guy that I thought they missed most was Burks because he filled in brilliantly for Nakobe Dean. And now there's nobody there to do it unless you're going to bring in a rookie linebacker. And Dean, how many games is he going to play before he gets hurt again? He's made out of ceramic. That guy chips at every hit. He's not. You had a guy that proved he could fill that role as well as Dean did, and you let him walk. And I just don't understand it.
How about 31 days out until you have to make a decision on Jordan Davis? And I think even more so this, Angelo, there's 24 days until the NFL draft. Okay, if they are, and I want to know if you think they're going to, let's just say Nolan Smith has 12 sacks. Okay, well, then that means he's up this coming off season here. Yep. Are you really going to pay that guy $25 million, Burt $20 million, 42 to Carter, and then add another 15 or 16 to Jordan Davis? I mean, Jordan Davis, in my opinion, has never lived up to the 13th pick in the draft. No. That's not Fletcher Cox. Do you think they move off of him, pick his option up, but don't give him a 3-year contract? I don't think they give him the extension.
No, I don't either, because you're right. He's underperformed where he was drafted. My only concern with that would be that he's played with Carter so long. Do I want to mix that up? Do I want to screw that up and make Carter less of a player? Those are not easy decisions. But you see, I just, when you have a team that you know is the best team in football, you just won the Super Bowl. My theory is that you don't worry about money 3 years down the road, because the window doesn't stay open that long for any team, unless you're the Patriots because you have Tom Brady. So maximize what you have right now, and keep guys that you know are really good football players, and change a couple of contracts, get right, just kind of slide under the cap and put the best team on the field again next year. But they didn't do that. And I know how he said ahead of time, I'm not going to do what I did 7 years ago and bring everybody back. Different situation, different players. I don't think they're doing the right thing.
How about this, Angelo? Do you think that Jeffrey Lurie this week will offer Howie Roseman a lifetime contract to remain in Philadelphia? Because you and I believe his kid Julian will one day be the president of the the football operation. So that decision probably is down the line there. But I mean, I think it'd be hard pressed to see him anywhere else where he would get the autonomy of the owner's money, and he would probably want that. Do you think he retires a Philadelphia Eagle, or do you think there'll become a day when he will be a free agent out there? Because after this year, he is. I'm assuming they're going to address it. I'm more concerned about him than Nick. I think Nick's interchangeable. But Howie's the kingpin to this thing here. How do you think they handle this?
That's a great question, because if the economic decisions being made for players extend to Howie, you might lose him. Now you got to understand, I'm going to go back 9 years. There wasn't a person in this city that thought Joe Banner, Jeff Lurie's lifelong friend and the president of the team, would ever be let go. And then he was let go. Now, he was let go because he alienated the entire city and was a miserable human being. No one could get along with him, right? He was just a complete horse's ass, all right? That isn't true of Howie. Howie knows how to deal with people far better than Banner ever did. But Howie now is not a dummy. Howie now has all the leverage to get as much money as any GM is making anywhere in any sport based on what he did last year. Is Lurie going to do that? He may want to spread his wings. Howie might want to go, let's see what the open market will get me. I am not saying to you unequivocally that Howie Roseman will be here beyond when his contract runs out, because I don't know how far this sudden economic turn will affect Howie's situation. If they want to go cheap, Howie's not coming back, because Howie's a $10 million a year GM, if not more.
How about this, though, Angelo? When does it, and tell me about the owner, when does it get to the point where the owner wants to have a little bit of the gravitas with this thing, too, on building the championships, too, and the ego that he has? And like you say, I've learned one thing about the Eagles, man. This owner, he is with his hands on everything, especially when it comes to public perception.
Right.
Don't you think he wants the perception that this is his game, this is his bat and ball? I built this. I gave Howie the opportunity to be this guy. When does that ego get, or does it? Maybe it doesn't. But when does that get to a point where he says, I could do this without him? Jerry Jones thought he could build the Super Bowl team without Jimmy Johnson. That never happened. Does that owner have that same gene in him?
First of all, talking about Jeff Lurie's ego, all right? Because first of all, my disclaimer is I never encountered a billionaire in my life, and I encountered a lot of them in sports. I never encountered one that I liked in any way. I always thought they would detach from reality. And I've often said Jeff Lurie was born on third base and still thinks he had a triple. All right. So he's got all, he won the gene pool. Jeff Lurie believes and will always believe that he is the number one reason for the success of the Eagles. He will. And there are a lot of people that will tell you, well, he's the owner. Yeah, they won 2 Super Bowls. They were in 4 since he's owned the team. He's done a good job. And in the big picture, he has. Compared to so many other owners, Dan, he's actually a good owner. But you're right that his ego will make the final decision. And if you're hearing too much that Howie Roseman's the reason, that will actually work against Howie to get another deal, because Lurie will want to prove to you Howie did a lot, but here's the brains of the operation. And yeah, that could well be. His ego is massive, like all of. In fact, he'll be addressing the media. The only time he always addresses the media is at the owners' meeting. I invite you to listen to him and tell me if you've ever heard a more pompous human being than Jeff Lurie after he's won a Super Bowl. Because I experienced it 7 years ago. And at one point in his owners' meeting after they had won that Super Bowl, I thought he invented the game.
All right, let me say this. You mentioned something very interesting to me. So you mentioned alienating the community is what got Joe Banner fired.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Howie Roseman, that you see that he has a deficiency in his game that could get him fired? Because as you said, he loved Joe Banner.
Yeah.
Is it his ego? Is it him being too out front? Is there one thing that he tries to stay away from that could cost him his job? Because, again, he's done the last 4 years, they've done a nice job in drafting.
Yeah.
Contracts. They do have a lot of dead cap money now. It's now hitting up near $66 million. That could be a problem as it continues to go forward. But is there anything, Angelo, in your opinion, he can do? Because right now, they're both sitting on top of the A game. I mean, they're going to be flexing this week down in Palm Beach. You know that. They're going to be flexing.
Oh, that's
down
what
there. It's going to be.
Oh, wait till you hear him. He'll have philosophies on success and life. You'll think at one point he's Warren Buffett. He's just, and the truth is, it's a lot of hot air. There's not that much behind it, but he has a successful NFL team, and I suspect that he wants as much credit, if not more, than anyone. And if he sees Howie as a blockade to that, Howie may have to do it somewhere else. I don't know. Howie's biggest problem is Howie is too subservient to Lurie. Lurie reminds me in ways of Donald Trump in that and this may be true of all billionaires. I don't know that many, but he only surrounds himself with people that remind him he's brilliant, consistently and without exception. If something goes wrong, it was inevitable. If something goes right, it was Lurie's brilliance. And that, to me, at some point, and this is somebody who got along with none of his bosses and none of the people that owned the right? None of them. Dan, it was an armed warfare for 30 years. I had on my contract that one of my bosses couldn't speak to me. All right. That's how much I hated bosses. Because I never
baby.
Yeah. I never kissed the boss's ass. It's probably why I'm retired now. Who knows? But here's the bottom line. I think there's too much of that. Sometimes you got to tell the boss, stay in your lane. This is my thing, and I'll do it. And I'm not going to kiss your ass every time I come out. You got a big enough ego already. I don't have to feed it. So I think that's Howie's biggest problem. That Howie is not seen as strong as he could be by the guy who makes the final decision, because he's always basically kowtowing to whatever Jeff Lurie wants.
Are you leaning right now? I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire here, but are you leaning right now? There's only been 9 teams repeat as Super Bowl champions. Are you leaning? I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire here.
This is the dumbest question you've ever asked. I had them winning 5 games last year. They won the Super Bowl. You will not find a dumber person to ask that question to than me. All I've said in the past 20 minutes or so, pretty much all bullshit. What do I know? I was in here a year ago proclaiming the depth of the Eagles organization. Oh, and Nick Sirianni's going. Then they held a parade here. I had to wear a bag over my head for 3 months, Dan.
Yeah. Oh, believe
But
me,
yeah,
I got
the answer to your question, even though it was ridiculous, the answer to your question is no, I don't see it any way they're repeating. I looked at their schedule. I know they still have Nick Sirianni there. Their defense has been decimated by free agency. No, they're not repeating.
Here's who they're playing against quarterbacks: Josh Allen, Dak, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Bo Nix, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, who's 2-0 against them. Those are they're going to have the number one schedule in the NFL this coming season with the defense that took a blowtorch to.
Keep in mind that they won last year. They had a period after the bye that was like just a parade of awful teams, like 5 or 6 bad teams in a row, which built up their momentum and took them all the way to the finish line. That ain't happening with this. This is going to be a much tougher schedule, and that may require them to rely more on the acumen of Nick Sirianni. And I'm sensing if that happens, they're in trouble.
A couple last ones here for you. Angelo, let me do a couple baseball here with you here.
Yeah.
Are you impressed with what Dombrowski has done? Has he overwhelmed you for his resume on who he is and what he is, with the success he had with the Marlins, Detroit, Red Sox even? How do you think he's been in Philadelphia? Has he overachieved or underwhelmed?
Well, let me start with this because I wrote about this on my blog today at angelocataldi.com. I have been a baseball fan for 70 years because I was a little kid. I was 4 or 5 years old.
Angelo, in New England, we grew up baseball, not football fans.
Joe DiMaggio. Oh, my God. Yankees versus Red Sox, all that stuff. I've been a fan my whole life. I sat down for the opening game of the Phillies season against the Nationals Thursday, and I lasted 2.5 innings. And I shut it off, and I went, I'm done. I'm going to check in from time to time. I'm going to still have stupid opinions. But the fact of the matter is, I can't sit down and watch a game and 15 outs, 13 with strikeouts.
I know.
I'm watching men play catch. They're just the pitcher's throwing the ball, the catcher's throwing it back. He swings, he misses, walks, he strikes.
Walk of shame. 13 walks of shame.
No hit and runs, God forbid, a drag bunt. Nothing. No subtlety to what makes the game beautiful. So I am no longer, seriously, basketball is now past baseball for me. It's football, then a big gap, then basketball, and then baseball, and then hockey. It stinks. The way they play the game now stinks.
Yeah.
Now, do the Phillies have enough? Hell no. Did you see the Dodgers?
Yeah, no
I'm
way.
wondering if the Dodgers will win every game this year. They're 5-0 right now.
Yeah.
Look at the pitchers they have. Look at the lineup they have. I haven't seen a team that good in forever. And then the Yankees found a way to cheat by getting these
torpedo bats.
And they got guys who hit 5 home runs a season, hitting 450 bombs, right? With these fancy new
Angelo, if you can't juice the players, juice the equipment. How you doing?
Right? Exactly. Meanwhile, the Phillies are going, well, we're pretty good. But Harper's a year older. Wheeler, who is their best player to me, the most valuable player on the team is Wheeler. He's 35 now. Yeah, how long do you want to push that? So should Dombrowski have done more? I don't even know anymore if it matters. If you're bringing every great Japanese player and putting them on the Dodgers, the rest of baseball's in trouble. So I don't even know if I would have said, look, Dombrowski is a very good GM, and he knows how to build a good team. But they're not going to win with a manager, Rob Thompson, who does not, all he does is follow analytics religiously. And they should have done more. I don't like Luzardo. I don't think he's going to be that big of a help, even though I think he struck out 93 guys in the opener or something like that. He struck out almost everyone he played, and they still were barely hanging on.
Angelo, is this Pedro? Is this Pedro Thompson? Is that what we got here as the manager of the Philly?
I just don't. Thompson to me, I got no use for Thompson at all. Not only is he really just such a robot as a strategist, there's never been a more boring interview. Listen to this man, right? Honestly, he can't answer a question without putting you to sleep. He has never said an interesting thing in 3 years as manager. Not a thing. That's why I was bitching to also in my blog about losing Tortorella, right? Because Tortorella begged them to fire him, and they did. I went, great. Let me tabulate now. Oh, now the Flyers have 0 interesting people in their organization, including my co-host Keith Jones, who suddenly got boring when he went there. He fell into the black hole of boringness. I mean, you gotta. It's one thing to win. It's another thing to entertain the people that follow your team. Give them something. These teams are giving them nothing.
I have a Sixer question. You know, they've been eliminated, you know.
Yeah, it's a shame. They lost 26 out of the last 29 games.
Well, okay. Who is there anyway? Obviously, the money in the extension they just gave,
right?
Joel Embiid, he's not going anywhere. But does Daryl Morey survive this?
No. Daryl Morey. That's such a great question because the Sixers are run by a hedge fund guy, Joshua Harris, and hedge fund guys don't look at the standings as much as like sportsmen. You know, a guy who really cares about the team that he owns. Harris doesn't give a damn. All right. So they've lost 26 out of 29 games. They are officially tanking again. They are the number 1 tanking team of all time during the process that went on for 4 years. And now they're purposely losing every game they can now. And they have a horrible cap situation because they paid Paul George over $200 million to hurt his pinky and be out for 6 months. No, they're not. And Embiid is already at 32 a shadow of his former self. He's already just an injury waiting to happen. No, they need to keep tanking for 5 more years and bring back Sam Hinkie. Now we got something. Make all those morons that love Hinkie, get them happy again and bring back that jackass.
Two less. Do you want to see the Eagles play the Bills, the Chiefs, the Lions, or the Cowboys? Or do you want to see that face again, this time in Philly, getting waxed on the sideline and Andy Reid over there on that sideline? No?
No. I know how to leave the table when I'm winning. Now that Reid has been humiliated, I don't want to give him a chance for redemption. So he's out. he's out. I don't, Reid's the only one I hate. So I'm just, look, that's why I bought the hat. Every time I look up at this hat, I'll see Andy Reid with that mustache. And by the way, I haven't seen one Kansas City Chiefs commercial so far in the offseason. So maybe we put all that to rest. Now, I don't, you know what? To me, I have to learn at my age, I'm 74 now, to start rooting for people instead of against them. It's what my dad did the whole last 20 years of his life. He would watch Red Sox games just to yell at the screen because he hated the Red Sox. I would say, Dad, what about Joe DiMaggio, the Yankees? Look at this. Pedro just gave up a home run. Oh, Manny Ramirez. Jerk.
Oh, my God.
I'm like my father.
Angelo, in my house, just so you know, we had pictures of Mario Alonso. We had Joe DiMaggio. And I think there a guy who looked like Mussolini. I couldn't tell. But I just know that we had pictures all over the house. And I always used to ask, what are these pictures? And he goes like this. That's sentimental reasons. I don't know. And like, I go, what do we got? Who's Mario Lanza? I used to hear Mario Lanza. And then my grandfather would always scream at the Red Sox. That's all I remember, too, him screaming at the Red Sox.
No. I'll tell you, Dan, last week I ripped Calipari and Patino, and I swear I looked up at the sky and there was like a thunderclap, and that was my dad saying, what the hell's wrong with you? These are Italians. Embrace them. They're your people.
You know, I get the same stuff that we're hating on Nick. I just go, that guy's a Frenchman. There's not a chance he's Italian. I just don't see it that he's Italian. Angelo, tell the folks where they can find your blog, please. Thank you so much for doing this.
AngeloCataldi.com. I write every Monday. My wife knows how to post it. And I give you my absolutely unfettered opinions on things, even though sometimes they're horrendously wrong.
5 win. You don't know all the heat. He's the guy that picked the Eagles to win 5. I go, I know he is.
I don't know why you keep bringing me on, Dan. It makes no sense to me.
Angelo, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Be well,
You got it. That is Angelo Cataldi, our good friend. Make sure you hit the like button there. Yeah. Hey, I know all of you now are like all Nick Sirianni fans now. And I know. It's okay. I got it. What's going on, Pump? How you doing, brother? I agree with you. Yep. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. He said they're not winning. The Eagles are not winning. They're not going back to back. What in the world is Xander going to say at the bottom of the hour? They're not going back. Oh, this is really nice. Thank you so much. Morgan and Morgan. They want to send Big Sills some T-shirts and some hats. I might have to do that too and have them send them over to Xander and have us give them away. Some Morgan and Morgan for the people. How you doing? All right. I'm going to go back over that list. What have been the biggest Eagles moves that they have made that you've questioned? And I'm going to put them in order here. The biggest questions that you have on what they've done this offseason, okay? Also, they are in a good place, I think, financially. The quarterbacks that they've played so far on the schedule that they will play in 2025, we'll hit on all that. Hit the like button here. Okay, let's see what my boy Maniac says. Angelo was the opposite of us winning last year. Hey, Maniac, he still came on. Okay? Biggest question is why you still have Angelo on your show. Because then I'd have to listen to an asshole like you. Let's see. The geriatric Phillies. They told me not to hop on the wagon when the Phillies win a title. Wagon. 2025 Phillies. 1800 Stagecoach. Yeah. 142. Hit that like button for me. There you go. Hey, Pump. If I had to ask you right now, Pump, with the defense being where it is now, how many wins would you throw out there just right now on the last day of March? Let me write this down here. Let's see here. With that defense and that 29th ranked passing offense, Pump, how many wins would you put there? Nine wins, 10 wins. 9 wins, Crowley. And no drop off. They took a blowtorch to the number 1 defense. No drop off. There you go, baby. What do we got, Pump? 7 wins. What? Steve's got 10 wins. Damn. Charlie's got 13 wins, 1 game difference. with all the players that they've lost, Darius Slay, Gardner Johnson, half your secondary's gone. Half your D-line's gone. Probably one. 20-1. 13 wins, one drop-off. Look at Pump. Maybe 5 wins if the Tush push gets banned. Oh, man. 12 wins easily. Big Cells, 12 wins. So I saw Xander post, so the Phillies have done something right. They got the torpedo bats. Good. Juice the bats. Juice the players. Juice the football. Juice everything. I don't care. What do I care? I'm not a moralist. I'm just a sports fan. I think the worst thing that they did in baseball was taking juice out of the game. Now it's the most boring game in all of sports. You want to hear something cool? My wife and I, when we were watching and living in the San Francisco Bay Area, we would stop to watch Sosa McGuire in a restaurant. They were airing it when they were hitting home runs and chasing down Maris. They would stop whatever they were doing. Both players were juiced. They stopped that. Now no one watches the game. No one watches it. I'm not the only one that said that. Bobby Valentine even said that. Okay? Seals, it's only cheating if you can prove it. Hey, so wait a minute. I want my athletes to play longer. Whatever medicine that could possibly. Hey, well, let me ask you this, Kyle. So should I not get a heart valve because they've I'd be cheating life to put a heart valve in? Isn't that cheating life? So if I took some juice to extend my playing career, I don't know. I don't have a problem with any of that. It's never been a problem with me. You want to take anabolics or PEDs? Have at it. You want to help your career? Go right ahead. I'm not a moralist. That's not my personal decision. You make those decisions yourself. I am a guy who buys a ticket and sits in the stands and watches a 9-inning ball game or a 4-quarter football game. I don't sit down and go, well, that guy's a good guy. That guy's a bad guy. I don't give a shit about any of that. That has no bearing in my life and how I watch a game. I watch a football game based on what they do on the field, not off the field. You guys care more about that shit than I do. Okay? Decimated our defense, even though we still have our best players. You can't keep everybody. Correct. Hey, Jay, I'm not saying you're not going to be good. I think you are going to be good. I am so pro-steroid, HGH, whatever. Charlie, good for you. HGH is not a steroid. It's a growth hormone. I've always been a fan of it. They give it to elderly people. Why not give it to athletes? It's no big deal, in my opinion. All right, Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in the country. Folks, with over $20 billion recovered for their clients, this is what makes Morgan & Morgan the best injury law firm in the country. They're so proud to be part of the program. You know, they know about the story of the family right here in Pennsylvania. They were initially offered $650,000. They got $26 million in recovery. The family down in Florida was initially offered by an insurance company, $350K. They got $12 million. Listen, folks, if you're ever injured, please do me a favor. Check out our great friends at For the People, Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Shell's National Football Show. Please hit the like button. Give me a total where we are in the likes. Guys have been awesome so far this year. We really appreciate it. 24 days out until the NFL draft. 31 days until you have to make a decision on Jordan Davis. Remember something here about the tush push play. This all comes down to entertainment. The NFL is the only league that doesn't give a shit about its history. They don't care about records. They don't care what guy did what, because the NFL is run by gambling. Gambling has overtaken the history of the league. Nobody gives a shit about it. That's baseball's fault. Do you know why baseball is an old man's league and why the average fan for baseball is 54 years old? Because they give a shit about a 100-year-old record. If I named you players from the 1970s, from the 2000s, early, you couldn't name them. Nobody gives a shit about the NFL records on the most yards gained. Nobody cares about that. The NFL cares about gambling, prop bets. That's why the tush push play, if they get rid of it, it's because it's not aesthetic to the television set. They get rid of shit that doesn't make for good programming. Always remember that. This comes down to programming. What's good for gambling? What's good for the optics of television ratings? And somebody running a quarterback sneak, you're not going to sell that to people in television networks. It's a boring play. There's no reason to have that play in the game. I told you, the most obnoxious play in NFL history is the extra point. The only reason the extra point is in play It takes you to commercial timeouts. After every time you kick an extra point, what does the TV do? It goes to commercials. And the NFL sells commercials off the extra point. The extra point's the stupidest thing on the planet. But it's financially profitable to have that play. If that play injures a quarterback or somebody ends up getting hurt, I know the numbers aren't behind it, but that play is not good for TV. Nobody wants to see 9 guys play a game of rugby. They don't want to see that. They want to see explosion plays, plus 25 touchdown passes, a pass interference call. They want to sell drama. That doesn't sell drama. Well, maybe somebody would get. They're going to outlaw that play because you know why? The Eagles start out every series 1st and 8. And they don't want to give the champs. I mean, even though they earned it, that's a play that the refs have nothing to do with it. You can't stop that play because the Eagles don't need the refs or Park Avenue. They just get it because they're efficient at it. That's right. Charlie's dead on here. NFL making so much on gambling, it's obvious with the money that's being spent. Hey, dude, this used to be a league that if you get this, and here, you'll suspend Isaiah Rodgers for betting on college football, but the NFL will host the Super Bowl in Vegas. Ask yourself that. They'll host the Super Bowl in Vegas, but if a player has anything to do with gambling or they work with DraftKings, that's because the players now starting to try to get a little bite of the apple that the owners don't want them to get a bite of. Always remember, follow the money. Follow the money with that league. It has nothing to do with what's right and wrong. They always tell you about freaking safety. Now they're adding an 18th game. Are you going to add another bye? The only way that I would vote for that, and I'm an NFL PA member, got my card right here. The only way that I would vote for that, and I get a vote, is if you had another bye and you expanded the roster. That's player safety. Here's my NFL players card. Lifetime member. And would I vote for an 18-game schedule? Only if the players and former players got better benefits and if you gave the players a bye and expanded rosters. NFL owners will try to tell you that they care about the safety of the player, then add another Thursday night game. Come on, man. Or a Wednesday game. Pretty soon the NFL is going to be playing games Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. I don't have a problem with that. That's more paychecks for the players. But don't talk to me about safety. Give a shit about safety and the players. It's like baseball. I was telling Xander this. Do you really know, we were talking about steroids and PEDs in baseball. Why do you think they took steroids out of baseball? What would be the number one reason they took steroids out of the game? It's a lot easier to spend money and put a contract together for a guy hitting 35 home runs than a guy hitting 65 home runs. It costs you more money for that guy hitting 65 bombs than a guy 35 home runs. Salaries came down. The number one position in baseball during the steroid era was the DH. And right now, the designated hitter is one of the lowest paid players. They did it over money, not player safety. Come on, man. Yeah, Major League Baseball cared so much about player safety. They didn't even have an amphetamine bylaw in the collective bargaining agreement until 2008. Players could take amphetamines. Nobody tested them for it. Trying to talk to me about PEDs. Yeah, PEDs were driving the salaries up. Guys hitting 70 home runs, hitting 350. You're going to pay $35 million a year for that. Now a guy hitting 286, 35 home runs and 90 RBIs, you're going to pay $25 million for that. Owners weren't stupid. They weren't worried about the game in the record books. They were worried about the salaries and the salaries that they had to pay. Look at what they're paying now for guys hitting 35 home runs. You imagine a guy hitting 70 homers? You're going to pay that guy $55 million a year. The difference between baseball and football, that money's guaranteed. Money in football is not guaranteed. I mean, player safety. Yeah. Okay, I did. Always, right? Player safety. Sure. So that play, the tush push play, and Sean McDermott, who's got to play the Eagles this year, thinks it's dangerous play and it causes injuries. He was told to say that. Here's another thing. I heard Xander and John, they had a guest on today. And I guess Xander said something that Nick Sirianni said that Shane Steichen better vote for the tush push play to be successful. Well, hold up. You work for Jim Irsay. You don't have your own say in where your vote goes. You vote against the owner, you'll be unemployed. You work for the Bensons now, Kellen Moore. You don't work for Nick Sirianni and the Eagles. Whatever that ownership wants, whatever the television guys like Kraft and Jerry Jones wants, that's what you do. You don't have your own opinion when you're a head coach. Yeah, I'll vote for the Eagles because, hell, you know what? I ran it. Well, you better run that by Gail Benson, the owner of the Saints, and you better run that by that psycho down in Indianapolis with Jim Irsay. The guy with the open prescription pad and pill bottles, that guy is your owner. Yeah, well, man, I'll vote for the tush push. Yeah, you better make sure you talk to that whack. Yeah, Jim Irsay, quality guy. Can't land on anything. They got a competition now in Indianapolis, that Anthony Richardson guy and Daniel Jones. What was Anthony Richardson, the third pick in the draft? Talk about a guy who can't get the quarterback position right. That guy moved off of Carson Wentz, who had 3,800 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 picks for these collections of bums. Because he thought he was going to find the day that he would replace Andrew Luck. Carson Wentz and Phillip Rivers have been the best quarterbacks since Andrew Luck. The rest of them have been bums. Why? Because the owner's comments and the owner gets involved in the quarterback decision. That's why you have poor ownership throughout the entire league. I mean, Jim Irsay is one of the worst owners in professional sports when he's not all hopped up on oxycodones. However, they do need these guys' help because they need guys like Mahomes and Allen in order to make money. How can you promote these players if they're on IR? That's true, Denny. That's why you can't touch the quarterbacks. That's why hitting quarterbacks is right now a no-no. Because they don't want to have a Super Bowl one day where you've got a Tanner McKee taking on Kenny Pickett. They don't want that. It's not good for television. That's right. That's why the quarterback's protected. I mean, that position will be, and I get it. That's what sells. The quarterback position today in the NFL is the most important position in all of professional sports because it sells the number one sport. Without those names, there's no doubt every rule change will be there to protect the quarterback because that's the face of the league. It's not one guy. Look at the NFL ratings last year. They were through the roof, and that was the first year without Brady. The NFL is the only sport that doesn't need superstars, or I should say one superstar like LeBron. to push the sport. They don't need a LeBron. I mean, how did TV ratings go up without Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in it? Because people love football. I mean, I could see it stuck for a DT. Chris Jones got the stinger, I'm sure, in the Super Bowl. That being said, other teams try to run it and can't do it like us. That's because you invested the majority of your money in the offensive line. I'm going to say it one more time to you guys. There is one fundamental thing, two fundamental things that will never change in football. You know, you can even add it to my daughter's rugby. If you can't run the ball effectively and you can't defend it, you have no shot of winning it. I don't give a shit about passing and throwing, doing all that. If you can't run the ball and you don't play great defense, it's the same in 1920 and 2025. There's nothing you'll get away with it. How many times have you watched the football team throw the ball for 500 yards? Shit, you saw it in the Super Bowl in 17. Tom Brady throws the ball for 500 yards and he loses. You run the ball for 200 yards, you ain't losing. You ain't losing. And why in the world would the league want to give the Eagles the benefit of the doubt? By the way, I think the league is teaming up on Philly. I do think this is an anti-Philly rule. They should call this the Eagle rule. Instead of the Tush Push rule, they should just call it the Eagle rule. Bylaw Eagle Rule 1234, whatever you want. Because there's only one team that uses it effectively the way Philly does. And that's them. Nobody else has the offensive personnel to do it or the offensive coach. It's a total anti-Philadelphia rule. I mean, it's the Eagle rule. It's no longer a rule where you're sitting there going, what's it? You really think they're going to ban that for the best interest of the league? Or are they going to ban that because the Philadelphia Eagles have basically, in essence, mastered the skyhook? Jabbar's old play. It's like the skyhook. You can't defend it. Eagle Rule 2025. It's the Philly rule. Bill said today there's no data to suggest the shove creates injuries, but still want it gone because of player safety. I mean, anybody, how do you talk to the media without them killing you for that? I would immediately fire back, go, what are you talking about? Give me some data where that last part of your comment says player safety. Are you going to try to adjudicate a play based on theory that maybe one day someone will get hurt? That's like having an asterisk or a PSA written on your car. Your car may cause you to get into a car accident one day. Just so you might know, your car may cause you to get into a car accident. No shit. It's a car. It's football. I mean, dude, isn't it funny, though? Tom Brady was the king of the quarterback sneak. Brady leaves, they're trying to ban it. Was there any player better at the tush push than Jalen Hurts? It's Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the best quarterback sneak guy in the history of pro football. Okay? The best in the history of pro football. And without a doubt, I mean, Jalen Hurts now all of a sudden here. I mean, come on, man. Mahomes got hurt, I believe, when he got the sneak. I think he got hurt. I think it was in the Tennessee game. Okay, didn't Mahomes mess his knee up? I thought it was his ankle. Purdy got a concussion doing a sneak. Oh, Jesus. Purdy got a concussion doing a sneak. I want you to prove that to me. That's what caused that. that he ended up doing. Tell me that, okay? By the way, before I get into some of the question marks with some of the moves that we've made here this offseason. So Gardner Johnson went after Deion Sanders. And I posted something up there about Gardner Johnson talking about, hey, when today's coaches are trying to give you a technical way of how you play a position, Gardner Johnson says they're not showing us Deion Sanders tapes. And I want to make this very clear to Gardner Johnson, and I tweeted this at him. How in the world could you ever in a million years compare today's players to Deion Sanders when you don't even play the same style of football he played? You play in a zone. You're not a lockdown safety. The Eagles don't have lockdown corners. 97% of the time they're in zone. You're not going man on. You don't play man defense against wide receivers in ball games. You play a two-high safety. So for Gardner Johnson to say, well, and Deion runs a 4x4 saying Q's a lockdown corner. No, he's not. 97% of the time he's in zone defense. How the fuck are you a lockdown corner? 3% of the game. How in the world is he a lockdown corner? If they don't end up banning the tush push, the teams that voted for it due to player safety, are they going to still run the play? Cough, cough, Bills. Bills run the play, from what I understand, the second most pump of any team in the league. Okay? I don't want Shallow Sanders. I don't think Shallow Sanders is a very good ball player. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think he was a good college kid. The kid Horn, the wide receiver on that Colorado team's pretty good. The quarterback, obviously, and obviously Travis Hunter. The rest of them I thought were pretty decent. Okay? He's excellent zone cover, corner. Quinyon and Cooper. They're great at playing in zone. They played it in college. They're absolutely great at it. Hey, dude, it's not a rip. They're exceptional in that zone. It's not a rip. But to sit there and have CJ Gardner try to tell me they don't show us breakdown films of Deion playing the corner position today in the NFL because you couldn't play it like Deion. Dude, whether Deion ran a 4.1 40 in 1987, he would run that 4.1 40 today. The only difference is he'd have 8 toes. Deion Sanders is one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. Okay? Seal, should Purdy get Jalen Hurts money? Yeah. Why not? Won an NFC championship. He's been to 2 NFC title games. He's got a great record. Spreads the ball around well. Put up great numbers. What has Dak Prescott done that he hasn't done? The question would be more to this. Not Jalen Hurts money. Should he be getting Dak Prescott money? What has Dak done more than Brock Purdy? He hasn't won more. He hasn't achieved more. He hasn't spread the ball around more. I mean, what in the world has Dak done that Brock Purdy should take less money and get only, okay? What has he done? Okay? Brock Purdy has been exceptional as a passing quarterback in this league. By the way, I saw that correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle or Bob, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Lamar Jackson sign a contract after Jalen Hurts? The Baltimore Ravens, down at the NFL owner meetings, have addressed it that they're working on a contract extension for Lamar Jackson. When do the Eagles for Jalen Hurts? When will they offer or restructure his contract? So Josh Allen got a new deal, and now Lamar Jackson's going to get a new deal. When does Jaylen get a new deal? Guy just won a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's probably going to get $50 million. Why wouldn't he? He's done more than Trevor Lawrence. He's done more or as much as Goff has. I mean, why wouldn't he? He's done more than Kyler Murray. He's won more. Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. If you could give Jared Goff $53 million, that kid's going to be in line to get it too. My question would come back, when do the Eagles address that for Jaylen? All right. We opened up the show with a question. I'm going to ask Xander this here in a second here, but these guys are doing a great job. Draft coverage, everything, all the way up until the next 24 days. By the way, like I said, I think Jordan Davis's deal is going to be resolved here in the next 24 days, not 31 days. I think what they do 24 days from now is going to affect Jaylen or Jordan Davis. If they take a DT, they'll give him that 5th-year option. There's no chance they sign him to a 3-year contract. Especially if they do what Xander says, Nolan Smith gets you 12 sacks. They're not paying that guy $18 million on a 3-year deal and then turn around and pay $42 million for Jaylen Carter, $18 million for a linebacker, another $25 million for Smith. And then when you got Cooper DeJean and Q coming up, someone's got to go. You just let 3 guys walk out the building and we're making great money. They're going to do it again. And guess what? They're going to do it on that side of the ball. They're not going to do it on the offensive side of the ball. If you notice, they don't let offensive guys walk. They let defensive guys walk. All right. So September 4th, Thursday, the opener for pro football. Who do you want to see the Eagles play? Hit the like button. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to check out Birds 365 each and every single morning, Monday through Friday. Without further ado, Big Z, Xander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
How you doing, man? Hey, who do you want to see the Eagles play?
In the opener?
Yeah.
I like what you said with the Bills. I was thinking a sleeper team could be, they're probably not going to use the Lions because they'll save that for later in the year. I was thinking the same with the Commanders. As good as that would be, the NFL will probably want those games for later in the year because you're going to get a good rating week 1 anyway. What about the Bears with their new coach, Caleb Williams, new coach, all the new weapons there? They got the offensive line intact a little bit. I could see that one, but the Bills would be great. I just didn't know if they would use one of our AFC opponents in that week 1.
How about Cowboys?
Cowboys would be great. Cowboys, look, I've been saying,
the TV ratings, the Cowboys.
Exactly. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to be as bad as Eagles fans think, or as bad as you think. Forget Eagles fans. You think they're going to be shitty. They're getting Dak back. I think they're going to be another 8, 9, 10 win team right in there. And I think the Cowboys would be a great one, man. Eagles, Cowboys to kick off the NFL season, that would be a banger.
Massive TV numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so what listen, I'm actually one of the few things I agree with John on. I agree with him on this. This tush push conversation is nauseating. But all that being said, how do you think this thing gets resolved here? Probably like around Wednesday. Do you think they ban it or do they modify it?
I don't know. I think they're going to let it go now. I don't think they're going to have enough support with the way they're wording it. I mean, all these dudes talking about safety, it's already been fucking we're playing football, you know, and outside of that fact, they've already done all these studies and looked into whether the tush push and quarterback sneaks are causing, too many injuries per play. And they're not at all. There's been no evidence of it. They've already disputed the whole thing. So what's his name? Sean McDermott's sitting up there saying that's a big factor. It's not a factor. If you want to, I thought the best approach, and I differ from John a little bit in this. He wanted a different approach too, more about the pace of play and everything. I would more go at the fact that 60 million people watched a 10-minute sequel in the NFC Championship game of Frankie Louvu jumping over to center like a dumbass. Like, you could make the argument to the league, hey, that's not really great for our game. But nobody wanted to make that argument. They made it all about safety, which was stupid. The tush push will stand, and it will come back for next year.
I think this is the Philly rule. I think it's completely after.
I love it.
Eagles. It's the Philly rule.
No. Don't call it the Philly rule. It's the Jalen Hurts rule, baby.
Yeah, it's the Philly rule here. And I said this, one of the things that I think the league hates about it, I think it's a TV thing. I think they don't like the way that.
Yeah, it's not good TV. I mean, come on.
It's not good TV.
From a straight entertainment perspective, it's not good TV.
No, it's not good TV, right? And that's all they give a shit about gambling, and they care about, some of the rule changes that they have. So they want to be able to throw a flag from New York City or pick a flag up, but they won't do it for a quarterback, but they'll do it for a punter.
Yeah, right.
On protecting the punter. I don't know. All right, Xander. So you tell me if you agree with this one here. Do you think Jeffrey Lurie got lucky with Howie Roseman when he didn't completely blow him out of the building? Can you imagine the Carolina Panthers or the Chicago Bears could have called up and went, hey, I'm going to hire Howie. They would have taken him right away because he was already put to the side. Do you think they just got lucky by not firing him? Or do you think that was something that he had in his mind all along, that if this didn't work out with Chip, he was going to put him back in there? Because it just seems to me he got lucky with Hurts. Then he got lucky keeping Howie. But that kind of stuff doesn't look like luck. It looks like
here's the problem. So if you get lucky so many times, at what point is it not luck? All right, you're creating luck. You're creating your opportunities, and you're creating your fate because of the decisions you make. Now, I don't think it was either. Honestly, I don't think it was complete luck in that he didn't expect any of this from Howie, and I don't think it was, he knew exactly what Howie was going to be. I think it was he saw potential in Howie, probably liked him as a guy for his organization, knew what he could do, with the checkbook, with the salary cap, with all those things in the background that Howie came from. Didn't want to completely boot him out because remember, when he went to Chip, that was unconventional for Jeffrey Lurie that time too. So maybe he thought of it as a safety net, and then it worked out for everybody. I don't think it was one or the other. I know you don't like that answer, but I don't think it was Lurie getting completely lucky, and I don't think it was, the vice versa either. But I think it was a good combination, and I think Howie benefited from it. Look, most organizations wouldn't put you in the broom closet. They would fire you. So I think Howie got a little lucky too, in that he got an owner that was willing to see it through on him and give him another chance later. And then I think Lurie got lucky in that Howie, took it personally and became one of the best general managers in football.
Here's the latest on the tush push. GM Brad Holmes came out on the Packers' proposed ban on the play. Eagles came up with it. They're effective at it. They're good at it. So if you don't like it, stop it. That's our stance. Other teams have tried it and not been as effective. Kudos to them. Here's Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, on the Packers' proposed ban on the play. We're against banning it right now. The Eagles are good at it, plain and simple. Give Philly and Nick Sirianni credit for being that damn good at it. This is where we are. Unless there's health or safety issues, I don't see any reason to ban that play. So I'm starting to agree with you. I think a lot of people are looking at it like, hey, they came up with it. If you don't like the play, stop it. I think with Sean McDermott, again, I think because they got him on the schedule, they don't want to see that thing coming up against them. I wouldn't either, but I'm starting to believe you guys, man, you and John. I think they're probably going to modify it. Probably not this year. They'll shelf it for the competition committee. But I think that play will be intact for the 25 season.
I agree on 25. The future, who knows? I mean, the one thing I pointed out this morning is it's clear which way the trend is going. And you've been covering this game, playing this game for a long time. As you know, once the league gets something in their sights, it might not happen right away, but eventually they will be swayed far enough and they will outlaw it. So it's coming soon, but who knows when it will be. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but it's coming for sure.
31 days until Jordan Davis's contract has to be resolved on the 5th-year option. And I said this earlier in the show. I think you pick that 5th year up because it's financially cheaper. And if that thing comes down on 32 in 24 days, and the kid from Michigan, Ole Miss, or Oregon are there, I say they draft that one of those 3 guys, because you kind of have to let the board fall. I think some of these edge rushers, in my opinion, will probably be pushed down because of some of the quarterbacks. Maybe a couple extra running backs are going to go into the draft and go into the first round. Maybe a sneaky wide receiver hits in there. It's been a really bad evaluation on the wide receiver group. But if that happens, you get a good edge. Maybe he trades up in the second round, takes one of those 5s or 2 of those 5s to move up in the second round so he can get one of those guys. But I think they're going to take a DT because, to me, you said, I'll tell you where I got this topic from. You're right, Xander. If Nolan Smith has success, you're going to be talking of paying him $25 million, are you not?
Minimum. If he
you're
does,
not paying,
what did I project? I projected what, 12 sacks for Nolan?
$25 million.
If he gets 12 sacks, you're going to pay him, you're going to pay Carter.
And a 3-year deal.
And that's where I think the Jalen Hurts topic that you brought up is kind of interesting, because they obviously have him under contract. There's no issue there. But you know how agents get. Josh Allen just got a new deal with 4 years remaining. They're talking about Lamar's new deal. Are they going to give Jalen a new deal next year with Jaylen Carter, with Nolan Smith, with all these guys that got to extend? I don't see it next year either. So I think there's a big crux of contract situations coming up here where the Eagles are going to have to make some decisions. And I think Jordan makes sense at $12 million. I just don't know. You know,
not 18.
Right. And that's the weird part about this, is that the Eagles don't typically play the 5th-year option game, because once you lock that in, you can't manipulate the capital. You can't manipulate the cap hit, the cash, any of the things that the Eagles like to manipulate. So you can't even put void years on the deal like they always do. I mean, let's be real. How we just put void years on Josh Uche's $1 million deal. That's how much he uses void years. So they don't like to play that game. But if they're not going to play that game, is that going to come with an extension? Then you're talking about how much money. You know, it's an interesting situation. But I would probably pick up Carter's option, just because 12 is now a bargain at tackle position, you know? So I think I'd probably pick it up.
Here's where the finances are for the Eagles right now. They got a total cap of $290.3, cap space of $17.9 million, and they got dead cap money, which is third, $65 million. That's a lot of money there for them. And again, this is why you said it perfectly last week, and now I knew why, Xander, after looking at the money. It's not that they have money issues, it's that they're balancing their money issues.
Right.
Because that number's starting to get high here. Because am I right? Am I wrong here? If you move off of Dallas Goedert before June 1, isn't there more money of dead cap money added to that if you end up getting rid of him before June 1? This is why Minnesota's not signing Aaron Rodgers right now, right, because they want to wait until after the draft because of the comp picks.
Yep. That's what basically everything is happening right now. That's why there's a standstill on people who are still out there that they don't want to get signed. Yeah, that's what they're doing. I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's going to go their way with all that stuff, but I mean, what are we going to do? They're going to sit here. They're going to wait it out probably. And with Dallas Goedert, I don't see him coming back. Do you? Don't. I mean, Howie spoke today, by the way. I was trying to find the clip to read you what Howie said. Howie spoke with Kay Adams. He was on the Kay Adams show today. And I don't know. Kay has a weird way to get people to speak about shit. I don't know. Maybe it's the eyes. Maybe it's something about Kay. Yeah, right. Maybe it's something about Kay Adams. She's got people talking. But
Her and I
he
are friends.
basically broke out like, hey, we love CJ Gardner-Johnson, but we got 12 dudes or whatever it was that are making $12 million. We got, 5-6 draft picks that are playing on rookie deals that have contracts coming up. We got draft picks in the future that we got to make. We got to make some business decisions here. And Howie kind of worded it well, but Dallas is probably going to be gone. I mean, Howie's response was, there's no update on that front yet. I mean, he's gone. They're not going to get him back. At least I don't think so.
Probably something post-draft that ends up happening.
If they don't bring Goddard back and their solution is Harrison Bryant and Grant Calcaterra, I'm immediately putting that on the worst move of the offseason, and we have to see how that plays out. Now, maybe it would work out, and I could be wrong, but as it stands today, that would be the worst move of the offseason by far.
How about this? Let me throw these questions at you then. What have been the Eagles' most concerning moves, or maybe not, to you so far this offseason? What would you put as a number one? Would it be the Gardner-Johnson one?
I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be just because you had to come up an asset, a good player under contract who was already signed, was making pretty team-friendly money. I mean, he was making $8 million. Like, look around at what safeties are making. They're talking about giving
He was expected to make 11.2 this year.
Okay, but still, either way, I mean, he's still at 11.2. That's not crazy money for a guy that was a turnover machine and a ball hawk type of player for that defense. So I'd say it would have to be that move just because Milton was a free agent. Josh was a free agent. All the free agents, you knew there was a chance they weren't going to come back. Isaiah and the backups were backups. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to keep them, but you know that there's a possibility you don't. CJ was the one move that was out of character or out of what we expected. And you also created another hole there, so that would be the number one move. The number two move, I'd put Slay. You let Slay go for 10 mil, which I think is too expensive. I probably wouldn't have paid him that either. But, speaking of the secondary, you just talked about, they play a zone-based system. There's no lockdown corners. I mean, we all love Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, but they weren't lockdown corners.
And they're exceptional at what they do.
Exactly, but they're not that type of corner. So now you're taking away the veteran guy who probably did a lot of the communication. What is that going to look like? So, and on top of that, with CJ Gardner-Johnson, that's 2 spots lost in your secondary. So I'd probably put CJ at 1, Slay at 2, and then I'd put Sweat or Milton, vice versa, whatever one you want to go with, at 3 probably.
Well, let me ask you something. You bring a great point up about Goddard. There's not a plan to replace him as of now.
Not right now.
There's not. That's it, guys. Do me a favor, please. Let's get this up over 200, please. The likes. I appreciate you guys. Xander, there's not a plan to replace him. How do you gauge the plan to replace Slay? Would you say it's in the same conversation as Goddard?
No.
Keely Ringo's not a replace. That's not a plan.
I mean, you're right. He's not really a replacement. I mean, not yet. But the fact is they did spend the draft pick with the hope to be the replacement. Now, I know it's hope, but at the end of the day, you have to build a roster. There will never be a team in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, in March that you'll look at the entire starting 22 and say, there's no one you have questions on, because part of building a roster is evaluation of talent and getting guys you believe are going to get better, right? That's what drafting is, right? I mean, you don't know what you're drafting. You're hoping based on your evaluation and the work that you do that they're going to work out. So you have a little bit of that on this roster where you're hoping guys pan out. But they did spend the 4th on Keely for this reason. They didn't do that at tight end. They could have drafted a tight end last year. They didn't. I mean, you got Grant Calcaterra. I guess they drafted him. Would they spend a 6th-round pick on him 3 years ago? He doesn't do what Goddard does. I mean, I don't think they even drafted him for this. I think they drafted him to be the second fiddle to Goddard.
As a pass catcher.
So I don't really know what the plan is here.
They're trying to piecemeal that position too.
Yeah, and maybe it won't work out so bad, Sales, because what did we talk about all year last year? Jaylen doesn't – I mean, this offense doesn't really use that many pass catchers.
No.
No, the thing you lose with Goddard –
they don't use the middle of the field.
No, they didn't. I mean, Goddard had like 500 yards last year. Didn't he? I mean, am I off? How many?
No. He missed a ton of games, but that's normal. I mean, yeah.
But didn't the one game? I mean,
I think he had 600.
He had 496 yards last year.
Okay.
And remember, Sills, there was one game he had 175. Remember that?
Yeah, that was the Saints game.
It was the Saints or the but one of those games early. Yes, one of those early games in the year. So 496 yards and 175 came in one game. That means 13 games. He played, I think, 14 games last year. That means 13 games he got 300 yards. Maybe they're right in that we're losing a good player, but maybe it won't affect us as much as we think because the player wasn't that big of a part of the offense.
Are you worried about the linebacker position going into when do they start workouts? I think they start April 21st. They start their workouts, and the two guys that won't be on the field will be Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean because of injuries, both of them. Are you concerned at all with any of that as they get ready and prepping for the upcoming year? Let me ask you something here about both those guys. Those guys really one had a really good finish. One had a pretty solid season the entire year. And here again, you're missing reps and you're missing on-field activities with the team. That shit stunts your growth a bit as a player because the more reps you get, the better you become. Anything you do in life, Xander, the more you do it, the better you get at it, whether it's in OTAs. And get this, my OTAs in Philadelphia going against Saquon Barkley and going against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and going against that type of players, A.J. Dillon, what have you, that O-line. My camp is different than your camp because I'm going against the world champion O-line. So I'm getting quality reps every time I'm on the field. I think that hurts these guys when you go forward and you don't have these guys on the field. I mean, are you concerned with that? Because you think you don't have a problem. You think Nolan Smith is going to be just fine and taking over for the production of Josh Sweat, right?
I mean, I think he's going to – I'm not saying that, but I'm going to say he is going to take another step forward, which would insinuate he's going to be that type of a player. So, yes, I am going to say that. And about missing time in camp, obviously not ideal. But let me throw something at you. And maybe this is off base, but while 95% of the league was sipping mojitos and margaritas in Cancun and on cruise ships and in Miami and in Bahamas and wherever the hell they go, Nolan and the Eagles were still working for an extra month. Now, that's not the same thing.
No, it's huge.
You're still missing camp, but I'm just saying he did have an extra month of football there. I do think that helped him develop as a player because those were obviously big games with the bright lights. And you're gonna miss camp, but I don't think that's going to slow him down in terms of game speed. I think he got enough reps of game speed last year, especially in the playoffs, that are going to help him with that. Now, with Nakobe Dean, that's a little bit more of a concern because is he going to be ready for the start of the year? Probably not. I mean, it's possible, but probably not. Do you feel good about Trotter? I feel pretty good about Trotter because I like his instinct. I think instinct is going to work better at that linebacker position for a Vic Fangio defense. I like Trotter, but unproven and hope. Back to that word, and I think that's a little bit of it.
Absolutely, man. All right. So we agree. When we made the comments, and you did, and a lot of people have, you should be writing checks to Jaylen Carter if you're Josh Sweat and you're Milton Williams. Well, let me ask you this here. You're comfortable with Moro Ojomo. You're comfortable with guys that they've brought in, and I'm just throwing it out like this, that the guys that they've brought in, all these edge guys that they brought in, if I'm going to pay $42 million or $40 million to Jaylen Carter, aren't I trying to get the very best talented players I possibly can to play next to him? Why am I downgrading that? When I'm on offense, I've got the number one left tackle or one of the top 3 tackles in the sport. I've got one of the top 2 guards in the left guard spot. I've got one of the top centers in the sport. I've got a Hall of Fame right tackle, and I've got an MVP candidate at running back and quarterback, and the receivers, they speak for themselves. Why am I piecemealing 2 guys in the front 4, guys on the free agent market. Aren't I trying to put as many great players around Jaylen Carter also as possible? I mean, hey, we can all say here that we believe these guys, but at the end of the day, I know this, that right guard position, you know why we all feel pretty good that anybody can go in there and play relatively well? Because Cam or Jason Kelsey and Lane and Stoutland are involved in that process. Hey, we feel good that Vic's going to find a guy. But, dude, I also want top-end guys. If I'm going to invest that kind of money, why am I going to invest $42 million and have guys who are $5 D linemen next to me? Does that make sense to you?
It makes complete sense, but I think the answer is simpler than you think. I mean, because of what you just said, because of what you just laid out, think about that offense you just laid out. And you're not wrong in the premise of, look at what you do for Jalen Hurts, building everything around him. Why aren't you doing the same for Carter? And I think the easy answer is, well, you can't. You paid everybody on offense. You can't do that on defense. You just can't. There's not enough money. There's not enough
that side of the ball suffers then.
So exactly. And the other response would be, it's very clear that the Eagles prioritize offense more than they prioritize defense. They look at spots on defense more expendable than they do on offense. Now, what I'm interested to see is, how does that shift, Sills, in the next 2-3 years? Because you're not going to let Carter.
I heard you ask John that. I think John's right, though.
Yeah.
I think John's right in the fact that they're going to stay to their guns and staying on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're going to put long-term contracts on the offensive side. And Jader, I don't think you'll see more than 2 or 3 year deals to these positions. And I'm not even going to name names unless it's Carter. Carter, maybe, you know what? Let me ask you this. Do you think Howie's changes position on linebackers, or do you think he changes position on Zach Bond?
I don't think he really proved that he changed any position yet. I think you had an first-team All-Pro player. I mean,
so it was the player, not the position.
It was definitely the player, not the position. And here's the other thing. I mean, and you're bringing up good points about the defense, but dude, nobody on that defense was paid. Like, it's one thing to draft players, get rookie contracts, and have a good defense with good players on those rookie contracts. It's another thing to give them second contracts. The only guy paid on that defense last year really was Darius Slay. Think about it. Josh Sweat took a pay cut. Nolan Smith, Jaylen Carter, Milton Williams, all rookie deals. Mora Wajoma, rookie deal. Nakobe Dean, rookie deal. Zach Bond, Timu signing. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I guess, got paid. Reed Blankenship, undrafted free agent, restricted rights deal. Nobody on that defense was paid. Now Zach Bond's paid. And you let Milton and Sweat walk. I don't know how many more of these guys are going to pay. I mean, the philosophy is pretty clear, but you're going to have to pay more of them. I mean, even with Jaylen Carter, right now you're not paying him $40 million. You're not going to let him walk. So what does that change? It's got to change something.
And there's a pack of money coming along with it. By the way, all supers go to the top. Please hit that like button. What do you make of this next year or this coming season, this fall? You play Josh Allen. You play Dak. You play Jordan Love. You play Patrick Mahomes. You play Justin Herbert. You play Russell Wilson, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Bo Nix, who had a good year, Matthew Stafford, and Baker Mayfield. Those are 12 quarterbacks that you're going to line up against, and you see Daniels and Dak twice. Russell will yet to be determined on how that thing will look in New York. I'm not expecting a lot there in New York. And by the way, we don't know if Aaron Rodgers will sign with Minnesota. That'll change that dynamic if he signs in Minnesota, because he would make them better, him signing in Minnesota versus J.J. McCarthy. So I'm kind of hanging out and waiting to see what happens there. But, I mean, and get this, Zen, people will look at it and go, well, we'll be fine. I'm like, well, dude, you got 5 new players on defense starting for you. It's a brand new looking group. I know Vic's back, but Vic said it to you. Schemes are great. Players make them. And so, I mean, that's quite a challenge when you've got that. Plus, you're going to be playing a ton of teams that either won a division or made the playoffs last year. You're taking on a number 1 schedule this coming season versus Washington, who's not.
Yeah, you got a good schedule, but it doesn't scare me. It certainly doesn't scare me. I mean, I look at, and I'm not trying to take away from those. Those are great players, a lot of great coaches there. But here's the thing that Eagle fans have the right to feel. Jalen Hurts took down Mahomes. Jalen Hurts took down Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts was 2-0 versus Jaden Daniels last year. Jalen Hurts has been better than most of these quarterbacks year in and year out, or has at least beat them in head-to-head. And then go to the coach. Look at the coaches. What's Nick Sirianni's record against a lot of these coaches? I mean, it's good. I forget, somebody did it. I think it was actually Krause. He did it on the 2-minute drill where he broke down and said, these are the toughest opponents. This is how the quarterback matches up versus them. This is how the head coach matches up versus against them. So they're good. They're good opponents. They're great, but I don't fear them coming in. We're the one that's hard. All right. The Bills have to play us. The Chiefs have to play us. The NFC North has to play the Eagles.
Yeah, but I think it's a cumulative. It's not.
It's a cumulative thing. You're right. It's a harder
it's a
overall
cumulative thing of playing. Xander, I'm not saying that you can't. If you're like one of those Nick Saban Alabama teams, that you're not the best team in the SEC. But when you play LSU and you play Georgia and you play A&M week in and week out, and you're playing a top-end NFL schedule week in and week out, like in 23, that's the war of attrition starting to bang on you a little bit, where you don't have a week off where you could turn around and play Carolina one week and have Carolina there sitting there. You're going to be taking on the Bills, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Chargers. I'm talking about cumulative. What people think, nobody's saying you're not better than them.
Yeah, no, I know.
But it's the week in and week out thing you're doing.
Well, here's my response, because you're right 100%.
Are you deep enough?
Are you deep enough is a fair question, but we're good. Welcome to being good. Right, Sills? I mean, this is when you become a great team, this is what happens. They're rich people problems. You want to not be rich? You want to go back to being the Panthers and have a shitty schedule, Eagle fans? Or do you want to have a couple tougher schedules, a couple tougher games because you're a championship organization? I'll take that all day. Those problems don't scare me. They're rich people problems, and I'd rather be rich, Big Sills.
Hey, man, couple last ones here for you. One to the end here. So tell me this, when we were talking about, big questions, that whether or not you would have a problem with some of the things that they've done. I looked it up. I got the NFL Players Association number. You mean to tell me you only cleared $3 million on that extension for Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, we didn't clear much. Howie already spoke about it today. Makes sense what they did.
Okay, well, for $3 million?
Well, this is why. Howie, when he was talking about the contract,
and you cut loose of Isaiah Rodgers or an Oren Burks who you could have had for cheap. I mean, they would have created depth for you.
This is more about macro, Sills. This is more about perception, because hear me out. The owner, the GM care about perception. You had a guy sign here for $12 million a year, okay, who was making less than Christian McCaffrey, who was making less than many wide receiver threes are making, and he set records for this team, and he did unbelievable things for this city. Howie spoke about it today on the Kay Adams show. We want to reward that type of work. If you come here and you do that and you're that exceptional, this is an organization that will reward you. Now, we can't reward it. We can't be crazy, but for what he did, when we look around the league at what skill position players are making, what Saquon was making, he earned every dollar. And I think it's a good thing, Sills, because you want to be a destination for great players. You do. And I think that great players see that, and I thought that was a good move for them, even if you don't save much. I called it, by the way, after the end of the season. I said, look out, Saquon's going to get an extension. John didn't want to hear it. That's what happened, and I don't disagree with the move at all. I think it's more about the culture. It's more about showing other players what you're willing to do if you come here and do great things. They did it for Bond. They did it for Saquon this year. I thought both of them were the right move, regardless of what you got out of it.
I would have extended Jaylen. Jaylen made more sense to me. He'd been here longer. He won the MVP.
Yeah, but
he took all the heat. He signed a good contract that was friendly to you. I mean, Barkley had 2 years remaining on it. I mean, you see now they're talking. I mean, Allen got an extension. Lamar's going to get an extension. There's no way in hell they're extending him. No way this offseason. They're going to not extend the Super Bowl MVP. I mean, doesn't it make sense you would have done Jaylen before you would have done a guy with 2 years remaining on his deal to get only $3 million in cap space? I don't know, man. I would have went with the guy who's been here longer, done more, been more important, and took more heat and all the shit that he's had to take. Wouldn't you have rewarded the Super Bowl MVP over him?
yeah, I mean, Jaylen got a massive deal, though. I mean, Jaylen set the market at quarterback.
All these quarterbacks have massive deals.
I know, but it's a little bit different. I mean, Saquon Barkley did not get that type of deal. He didn't. He wasn't even the highest paid running back in the NFL. Sills. I mean,
I know.
and he literally had more rushing yards than any running back ever in the history of the long storied NFL. I think it was very obvious why they gave him a new deal. While I get it, I get what you're saying. You didn't really get much out of it, and you had other needs. I understand why they did it for sure.
Well, I hope he has a really productive next 3 years. I really do. I'm really hoping, because the quarterback is more important, in my opinion, than any position in your huddle. And I want to make sure that guy, in my opinion, is the guy. Now, maybe they're waiting for the Jaylen Carter money, and they're going to restructure Hurts's contract during that time.
I could see that.
Using his money because he has the bigger number, right? Maybe in this coming offseason, they probably use that.
What contract did the Eagles get more value out of this year? Jalen Hurts at $50 million, $51 million, or Saquon at 13?
Zach Bond.
Zach Bond's the most valuable, but outside of Zach Bond, Saquon Barkley was a freaking steal, man. $12 million? Are you kidding me? Devontae Smith makes 25. I love you, Devontae, but you're not Saquon. AJ makes 32. I love you, AJ, but you're not Saquon. I mean, $12 million, he was underpaid. And I know it's the running back market, but I don't have an issue with them giving him that deal.
D-tackle, 32. Remember I said it. If we have any supers, let's read them. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. You've been absolutely fantastic. We appreciate
you. The bench. What's up, brother? Hope you're doing good. Member for 4 months. Thank you. He says that's the difference this year. There are no get-right games, but if it makes us a 10-win team and more battle-tested, Philly will be scary in the playoffs.
How about this? What if they take a step back and win 12 and still win the Super Bowl? Can that be a possibility?
Absolutely. And fans should be ready for and embrace that. Because here's the thing. We've moved into a different territory now. All right? You're Super Bowl champs again. You're the second time in 8 years Super Bowl champs, and you were at 2 in 3 years. You've moved into Chiefs territory. Remember what the Chiefs last year, when they were halfway through the year, and everybody was like, oh, the Chiefs don't quite look as sane. They're losing some game. Oh, what happened? They got into the playoffs. That's all they cared about. Get into the playoffs, win your games from there. If you're the Eagles, you're moving into new territories, okay? Our good seasons are no longer defined by winning 14 games.
It's postseason.
Okay? It's get into the postseason and let's dance, baby. So if you do come back a little bit, good. I mean, I predicted 13 wins, so I didn't predict a big fall off. But if they go under my number, I'm good with that as long as they get into the playoffs. Now, if they get one bounced, yeah, I mean, we're going to have an issue. But, this is part of, look, we talked about it earlier, rich people problems. I mean, we're rich, folks. Eagle fans, we're rich, baby. We did it. We're rich, all right? We got rich people problems now.
I'm with John. Washington 1, Philly 2.
Oh, that is fucking ridiculous.
Dallas 3, the New York Giants.
I don't believe 4. Either one of you truly believe that. That's how much I don't believe you or John McMullen, if I put you on a polygraph, would say, oh, yeah, I think the Commanders are going to win the NFC East this year. Bull fucking shit.
They haven't lost anything. They haven't lost anything from their team. They had it.
One winning season in 22 years, and Sileo is ready to crown him.
One winning season with him. Dude, wait a minute. They've had it. They haven't lost.
0-2 when Jalen Hurts plays versus us.
Oh, no. Yeah. Baker Mayfield owns him. So you want to go there?
Baker
Okay.
Mayfield's the only guy on our roster that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have a losing record to. Both. Jalen has a losing record to Dak because he's 1-2 because Dak misses like every freaking game now. I mean, but Todd Bowles is the only coach that we play next year that Nick Sirianni has a losing record to.
Was it 1-2?
Yep. Or is it 1-3? Might be 1-3.
Is it?
Nick?
No, I think it's 1-2. Yeah, no. Oh, wait, it is 1-3.
Because there was.
Yeah, like, God, isn't that weird? It's all about matchups, man. And guess what? He's 1-1, I think. No, wait a minute. Jalen is what?
Yeah, he's 1-4, including a pair of playoff games.
Nick Sirianni's 1-4 versus the Bucs?
Or is he 1-3? I'm seeing Todd Bowles has led his team to wins over Nick Sirianni's Eagles in 4 of their 5 meetings, including a pair of playoff games. That's from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Am I reading this wrong?
No, that sounds like 1-4 to me, too.
I thought it was 1-3, too.
Me, too. I thought it was 1-3.
No, this is NBC Sports Pro Football Talk. So, what's his name? Mike Florio's site.
Okay. He's pretty good. Wow.
Yeah, I know 0-2 in the playoffs. I knew that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because most of those games, they were all on the road, if I'm not mistaken. They never played them up at Lincoln Financial. So
yeah, look, Tampa Bay has our number. It's the one team that has our number, Sills. They really are.
And you're playing them this year, too.
Yeah, we're playing them. But, I mean, we played them last year and lost. So it's not the end of the world.
All right. Any more?
Oh, yeah, my bad. Let's get to him. Christopher Michael, what's up, brother? We got two from him. So the first one, he says, the league is soft as hell if they ban that play. I agree, brother.
Me too, man. You know what? For me, I think it's a stupid conversation. I'm with John, and I happen to agree with both the Lions and the Colts. Hey, man, these guys perfected it. If you don't like it, it's like banning the skyhook. Just because you can't block it, bro, it's a football play. You know, I think they're going to modify it, though. You know what they're going to do? I hear John talk. John's right. I forgot that they instituted that you could push a player from behind with multiple players to.
Yeah, no 5.
Yeah, and prior to that, that was against the rule. You couldn't do that. So they change. I think they'll probably go back and change that rule again. So you know what I would do? I'd run a wildcat down there with those guys. I would put Saquon under center. And I would just have Saquon run that play. I mean, dude, the Eagles this will have no effect on them. Do you think it has an effect if they ban it?
No, because the Eagles, all right, as great as we've been as the tush push, Carson Wentz converted.
Yeah, he was 17 of 20. No, he's 27 of 29.
He had a higher percentage than Jalen Hurts at this point. All right. And I'm not saying this to take away from Jalen. I'm just saying the Eagles, with their offensive line, with a quarterback who can run and who has strength, Wentz had as well. Maybe not as much as Jalen, but had as well. They're going to be in the fine spot. I'm not worried about the damn tush push. I mean, come on, who gives a fuck? Honestly,
that's right. It's like banning AI's crossover.
Yeah. Now let them be that. Let everybody else cry. Okay.
Oh yeah.
We don't give a shit what excuses it is. You want to get rid of the play? Good. Get rid of it. I don't give a shit. I'm going to beat you either way. That's the mentality that made the Eagles great last year. That's the mentality that we will have that will continue to win football games. Who gives a shit? But no, they shouldn't ban it. I'm with you.
That is Michael a merit badge for sure.
Christopher again says, we got to draft or bring in linebackers or we're effed. Come on, Christopher, what are you, Sileo eyes? What are you taking, Sileo eyes edibles over there? We're fucked? What do you mean we're fucked?
Wow. Look at Dak Prescott. He's down 30 pounds. He looks ready to roll. He said the number one thing I'm looking forward to is playing the Philadelphia Eagles.
What's Dak Prescott
down 33. Down 33 pounds. He's sitting at 205, down from 238. Hamstring is ready to rock. Expect him to see at the athleticism of his Lamar Jackson. He's ready to go, and he wants the Eagles.
Come on, Dakota Prescott. Ozempic Prescott.
Yes, sir.
Ozempic.
Prescott.
Dakota got on that Ozempic. He was getting chunky. He said, I need to win some football games this year. I can't be getting hurt.
Yes,
Dakota. Dakota is back. Look at Sileo trying to sell us on Dakota. The guy's got 2 playoff wins in 9 years. Jalen Hurts had 4 this season alone.
No, Jay Daniels is better.
Way better.
Jay Daniels is better, man.
Better is overrated, by the way. I want a winner. How about that? I want a motherfucker that wins when the lights are bright. I want
He's 9-5 versus the Eagles.
Game. I want to win playoff games, Big Sills.
Talent's overrated. He's 9-5 versus Philly.
Okay, what in the regular season, right? What's he in the playoffs? Oh, yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, right. Nobody wants. Oh, yeah, right. 9-5 versus. I don't give a shit. He could be 15-0 versus the Eagles. He's 0-2 when it matters.
Well, then how come that matters when people say that Jalen has a winning record versus Josh Allen during the regular season?
Because the body of work is there. Jalen also wins in the playoffs.
Well, he's got a tougher road. He's got a tougher road to the playoffs. He's got to play against Mahomes and Burrow and Lamar. Who are you playing against? Dak and who?
I never said he didn't have to play that.
There's a tougher road for those quarterbacks.
Yeah, but that doesn't work. So we just got done saying no excuses. Who cares? And now you're creating excuses for Josh.
No, it's not an excuse. It's facts.
Jalen got drafted to the Eagles. The Eagles are in the NFC.
Correct.
Jalen didn't decide to pick his conference.
Okay.
He's a playoff winner.
Hey, when you're in a shitty division,
Dakota.
When you're in a shitty division, I get it. You can get drafted to a shitty division. I'll make this point to you. I've always said this about Brady. Name me one team in Brady's 20 years that he played in the AFC East that gave New England a run in those 20 years. Who, the Jets? Who, the Dolphins? Who, the Bills? The Bills had 10 years of losing records. Brady benefited from being in the shittiest division in football for 20 years.
Mahomes was too for the last 5 years.
Hey, so did Montana.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of things have to line up sometimes. Sometimes you're in, it used to be the toughest division during my time was the NFC East. That's why the NFC East is so hard to repeat. Do you know it's the only division in football that every team in the division's won a Super Bowl?
Yeah, and it's one of the most. Yeah, look, and Tush says it's the most competitive division in football. I would agree from a macro. Maybe on every given year, it's not. Like last year, the NFC North was crazy. But yeah, overall, I think you're probably right, Tush, when you look at the whole body of work. But yeah, by the way, you brought up your boy Joshy Poo. Joshy Poo. Okay, Joshy Poo. Are you gonna win, Joshy Poo?
Put $65 million. Joshy
I wasn't talking about Joshy Poo though. I'm talking about Dakota, who's been a 9-year NFL starter in the NFC East, and he has 2 playoff wins. There's no excuses for that guy.
No.
He had the number 1 offense 3 years. How many All-Pros or Pro Bowlers did they have on those teams when they had the number 1 offense?
I agree.
He stinks.
No,
he doesn't stink. He's a regular season merchant.
I don't think Prescott stinks.
I don't either. I think Dak is better than most Eagles fans think he is. But he is what he is.
Would you put him in the top 50?
Regular season?
Would you put him in the top 10?
When he's on his game, yeah, he's top 10. When he's on his game. But he's never on his game in the playoffs. So, what are we doing? It's like if I go to practice, I'm like, hey, that guy's really good if he shows up, but he never shows up. We're like, well, I don't want him. I mean, he doesn't show up. It's like Nakobe Dean. He's a great player, but he gets injured all the time. And you're like, well, I don't want him. He's injured all the time. Same with Dak. Hey, the guy's got a great arm. Hey, he's real accurate. Hey, he can do this. Wait, but every time you go to the playoffs, he stinks. Oh, well, then I don't want him.
Do you think the Dallas locker room likes him?
I don't know. He doesn't seem like a bad leader to me. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. I don't know. Maybe some resentment for playoff, failures and making $65 million. Maybe some animosity there.
If you were in that locker room and you saw a guy making the second most amount of money, and every time this guy gets in the playoffs, he shits and bites the bit. And all of a sudden, this guy's throwing the who knows who in that Green Bay game. And this guy, all of a sudden, you turn around the following year after that performance, you give him a contract that makes him the highest paid player at the time. and he's won only 4 games. I don't know, bro. How many playoff games is it? 2? How many playoff games? I mean, you give a guy a raise of $60 million, and he's got 2 playoff wins.
Yeah, but at what point does he look
6-2?
At what point does the organization, like, I think people in Dallas know, like, the organization is stupid. So you can't be mad at Dak for maximizing his earnings.
Yeah, but wouldn't you, as a player, if you're in that locker room, you're going like this? Hang on here, man. What are we rewarding here? I mean, do you just throw bad money after bad money in Dallas? Isn't that what it looks? See, that's the one thing. Don't we not agree with the Eagles? The Eagles really don't throw. Look, even the Bryce Huff move made sense. You lost Reddick. You wanted an edge rusher.
Right.
Now, the player may have bombed, but the idea wasn't bad. I mean, you're throwing money after Dak, $60 million. I'm like, where are we going with this? Where are we going
The
here?
barometer has shifted, everybody in Philly, all right? And it should have shifted for all of us. We no longer get caught up in regular season.
Oh.
Even if we split with the Cowboys next year, I don't give a shit because we care about playoffs. Cowboy fans care about going 12-5 and splitting with the Eagles. Okay? We don't care about that shit.
You don't, Dave.
No.
All right. The Cowboys. You don't care about the Cowboys. You're champions now. Even with that Swiss cheese defense now.
What's
you
Swiss
feel
cheese?
pretty good. That Swiss cheese defense.
Oh, let's say.
Uche Coochie playing Ed.
You said the same thing last year.
Yeah, I know.
You called him Lindbergh. What'd you call him? Lindbergh cheese, right?
No, you're right.
I see you retired that name.
I'm with Angelo here. I think that's going to be
his track record on JAKIB is particularly glowing.
Hold on. Oh, no. Look at you, man. You got all the replacements, don't you?
What a fucking – you told me this last year. The Eagle fan was right the whole year last year. All right? They're going to be right again. I'm done listening to you schmucks. Again, if I put you and J-Mac on a polygraph, neither one of you would pick the Commanders to win the East.
John McMullen agrees with Big Sills, and that never happens.
No, he doesn't.
The Commanders are the best team in the East.
No, they're not. They're not even close. They're not even
I even
close.
heard your boy up the coast say it.
No, stop.
They did it?
Freddie Lemus checks in. He says, if Jordan Davis were to reach his potential, what do the stats look like? Best team against the run in the NFL. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look like any sort of stats sheet on numbers on a stat sheet.
Does anybody know what Vita Vea makes?
I think 17.75. I looked this up before because of Jordan.
Yeah, I'm not paying him that. He's not that player.
And Vita signed that deal a couple of years ago.
But I made the comment last week. You need an exceptional nose.
How about what Puna Ford got?
That kid's 5'11".
He's good against the run.
Is that the Texas kid?
He just signed with the Rams.
Was that the kid that was up at Seattle? And he was, I think he's 5'11", played at the University of Texas. If I think that's who I think it is.
5'11"? Is he that short?
Yeah.
Let me see.
He's 5'11".
He did play with the Seahawks. You're right about that. And then I think he went to the.
He might have been
got traded last year, I think, or he went somewhere else. I know he went somewhere else. Is he 5'11"?
I think he's 5'10", 5'11".
Let me look this up.
He's not 6 feet. I know he's not. But he is a run-stopping.
He's 5'11". You're right. Yeah, 5'11", 311. He's a run-stopping machine, though, for sure. He got 3 years, $27 million, $9 million a year.
Wow. All right. So you're still thinking so where do you think they land when it comes to top 10 defense?
What'd you say? I'm laughing at Brian Pumper's dumbass comment. Brian says, this dude Xander loves Puna Ford. He be name dropping Buddy all the time. Yes, sir, Pumper. Yes, sir. We got our own Puna Ford in Philly, baby. Jordan Davis. Woo!
Shit, that defense. Defense. I think that defense will finish 12th.
Oh, I already told you, top 5. Easy
Top-
money.
Top 5.
You want to make a list of? We got to make a list of our working bets this year. What
No
was our
shit.
other bet?
Top 5.
What was our other bet? Can someone in the chat
You
remind me?
think that's going to be a top 5 defense with
Yes.
all those, with no Slay,
Top 5.
2 D linemen. So you've lost 2 guys in your secondary of your 4 and 2 in your front 4, and you're top 5.
They'll be top 5 with a floor of 8.
Let me get the fuck out of here, man. You're risk too much.
A floor of 8.
A floor of 8. Really? A floor of 8.
Let's
All
see.
right.
Let's
Let
see
me
what
go.
happens, Celia.
Hey, by the way, we got Craig Carton on tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
We got Craig Carton.
Angelo was off. He must have been at the dispensary this weekend picking up that new strain called Cileoized. Because he was on here. I don't know what he was saying.
You can drop it into hookah at any time.
I mean, if you just got dropped onto Earth from Mars and you listened to Dan and Angelo today, you would have thought the Eagles won 3 games last year and were the worst team in the NFL.
This is everything after February 10th, my son.
Wait a second. On my way out, let me show somebody. Let me show you all something, okay? Don't let Sileo get to you, okay? Do not let him get to you, and I'll show you.
That's a good shirt.
I'll show you why, okay? 50 days ago, everybody. You know what 50 days ago was? 50 days ago. 50 days. 50 days. 50 days ago was February 9th. February 9th was the day that the Eagles won their second Super Bowl in franchise history. This right here is a look at the final 17 games the Philadelphia Eagles played last year. Holy shit! They were 16-1, and their only loss, they were without their starting quarterback. 9 of the games you see on this list, they won by double digits. 9 of them. They were a dominant football team.
What a great team that used to be. What an unbelievable team that was. I could just remember, like, Angelo bought that hat. And you know what? It's kind of like an RIP. Rest in peace to the greatest Eagle defense ever assembled. Congratulations. Rest in peace. What a great team.
16-1 with a Fugazi loss.
And they lost 13 ball players who were contributors to that record. Congratulations.
16-1, and we won 9 games by double digits, including double-digit wins over the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Rams, all sorts of teams.
Unbelievable.
We blew them all out, including the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
Too bad. Too bad that team's gone. It's like a ship setting out to sail.
No.
All out there with no one on board anymore.
Oh,
how you doing?
Because we lost Joshy Poo and Milton.
Oh, no, because I'm going to replace him with Mojo Mojo.
They weren't even top 15 on team importance.
I'm gonna replace him with Moro Okajuma.
We had 22 starters and lost 17-22, and Celia wants us to act.
Hey, and I'm gonna have Ringo Starr playing corner for me this year. Congratulations to you, kid. Keely Ringo.
There's questions there. We'll see what happens.
Xander, babe, we'll catch you in the morning, brother.
All right, brother. See you, man. Good stuff.
You got it, my good friends. You guys are awesome. Please do me a favor. Please hit that like button. I'll tell you what, he's right, though. That was pretty impressive. 16-1. Holy shit. And that team did destroy teams, including the final game. They ended up destroying the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you, Cody. Let's get that bad puppy up to 250. Let's see if we can hit that number by the end of the program. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. The #1 injury law firm in America is Morgan & Morgan. With over $20 billion in recovery for families across the country, no question about it, with the thousands of attorneys that they have, they will make sure they get what's rightly yours when it comes to getting these insurance companies to pay their fair share. That's exactly what Morgan & Morgan does. Look, we understand one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make is getting an insurance company that does the right thing, Morgan & Morgan will make sure that they make that insurance company do the right thing. For more info, go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sill sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Aaron Rodgers. That story's just about done, isn't it? So he's working out with DK Metcalf, who's a new Pittsburgh Steeler. And he's holding out hope that the Minnesota Vikings will sign him. I get it. The Vikings give him a better opportunity to make it to an NFC championship game, more so than what the Steelers do. I mean, the Steelers, with Pickens and with DK Metcalf, you allowed Najee Harris to leave. They may go running back in the draft. Steelers, if I were to put them in the category right now where they are in the AFC, if I were to rank the AFC teams now, how much does Aaron Rodgers make the Steelers better? Right now, I think it's Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, all very close. If I had to pick a fourth team, I think the Chargers are going to be better. Another year with Harbaugh. The Steelers could be the fifth best team. I think the Houston Texans are going to get better with C.J. Stroud another year. Let's not forget something here. You can say all you want. I know Xander said it too. You know, you guys are all like, well, Stroud took a step back. Well, 2 years in a row as a rookie quarterback and then a second-year guy, he's taking the team to the playoffs 2 years in a row. He may have taken a step back because teams are starting to catch up a little bit with what his skill set is. They still won, and they're getting better. And if you watched that Chiefs-Texans game, that playoff game, I thought the Texans outplayed them. They just got some shitty calls. The Bengals are going to be a good team. But see my problem, Samuel, with the Bengals? How good are they going to be on defense? The problem for Joe Burrow won't be if the Cincinnati Bengal offense is good. The problem is going to be if the team is good. Here's the one thing that Cincinnati doesn't do that the Eagles do. They build an entire roster. They have good players, and they're going to spend money. On the defensive side of the football, they're talking about doing a deal that will keep Trey Hendrickson in the building. Dude, the guy's a young football player. You should be doing everything in your power to keep him in the building. And you should be doing everything in your power to try to improve your defensive football team. You're only going to win the Super Bowl if you improve your defense. What did the Eagles do to win a Super Bowl compared to 22? They improved their defense. And their defense got better. By the way, it was a surprise unit. But let's be candid. That defense, as much as everyone loves some of the talent you have, that defense a year ago wasn't built for longevity. I say this with respect here. How many players on that defense do you think will get second contracts? Will Nakobe Dean get one? As of right now, I wouldn't give him one. Jordan Davis, are you going to give him a second year? Are you going to give him a second contract? I'm not. Nolan Smith. I'm with John McMullen. I think it's a small sample size. Cooper DeJean. Let's see him do it again. You give contracts to consistency. You don't give it for 1 year. I don't think. Unless you want to get burned. Look at this. Couple supers we missed. Throw them up there, Xander. I don't see the improvement in the defense. We lost pieces, and the offense is downgraded. Jury's still out on Kevin Patullo. At least we won one. Hey, look, everything you just said right there, Bumper, is right. The defense, how about this? I'm not sure the defense, no, you're right. The defense hasn't improved. The group that they have right now is not going to be a better unit than it was a year ago. There's no way. Now, could they be better in 2 years, 3 years from now? Maybe. But there's no way they're going to be better. Carter, Q, Reed. I wouldn't say Reed Blankenship is a top flight safety. I think he's a really good player. But one of the top safeties in the game? Absolutely not. Okay? No way. He's a good player. He's a solid player. He's guys you want on your team. He's a player you want to start. But he's not one of the top safeties in the game. You're not putting a $15 million a year deal in front of that guy. Sue, you're paying him $15 million? Then you're going to pay Jordan Davis $8. Where are you getting it? How are you spreading this money around? Reed makes plays. Do you really believe that guy's a $20 million a year guy? Not in your life. Brian, I appreciate the super. Thank you so much, brother. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button here. No way do I see that. He's no Buda Baker. No, he's not. Reed is smart, and the organization loves him. Didn't count him because he's already been extended before. Yeah, but he's not been extended with any kind of significant salary. They gave him a nice salary, Twiz. Wasn't one of the top end. Okay. Reed is a solid player. It's no disrespect to him. Plus, I'll tell you this. He's a good communicator. He does all the things right. No question about it. He's not Kyle Hamilton, man. Come on, dog. Brian, what happened? I turned off the game. Oh. That's Ed Reed Blankenship, for crying out loud. Yeah, no, I don't see that. Not every player that gets top money was worth it. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Dude, Reed's a good player. He's not one of the top 10 safeties in the game. He played on the top unit. Nolan Smith's not one of the top edge guys. You had a good unit. You had a good collection of dudes. Yeah, so look, like I said, we'll see as this season comes around here. You got great coaching, but one of the question marks again, was there too much replacement? He's been addressing this. There is a lot of question marks heading into this. What will Nolan Smith need to get paid top dollar if he gets paid next to Carter? Okay, that's a great exercise. That's a great exercise. I love that. If Moro Ajomo this coming season, if he gets 50 plus tackles and 6 sacks, and you got 2 years remaining, he's going to get good money. If Jordan Davis at the nose gets 40 tackles and 5 sacks, they'll give him a 3-year contract extension. If Nolan Smith gets 50 plus tackles and 10 sacks, they'll pay him $25 million. He won't be 30. He'll be a $25 million guy. If Nakobe Dean plays the entire season and doesn't get hurt and has 150 tackles, they may extend him. But more than likely, they'll move on from him because he's due too. But because they paid Bond the $18 million, Dean would be the odd man out. Why they always use he's a smart player for white dudes? Because it's a stereotype, Brian. Here, I'll give you a stereotype. Man, that guy's a really athletic quarterback. Code for black guy. Instead of saying this, I always start with a quarterback as if he's smart. That quarterback can see the game, understands the game, and then I work my way down with athleticism. That's the last thing. White people and white analysts do this. He's really athletic. Code for black. Start with smarts. if Brady proves one thing to you, and so does Jaylen. Jaylen is smarter at seeing the game than Lamar Jackson. And Brady is smarter than Peyton Manning on seeing the game. Work harder? They all work hard. You're in the NFL. Congratulations. But to me, or overachiever, that's another white guy thing. You just got to watch the code words. If a black guy is a great athlete, plays quarterback, man, Lamar, what a great athlete. Have you ever seen a guy play that position with such athleticism? I don't give a shit about his athleticism. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning can't jump over a stack of quarters. You got to be smart to play that position. I think Jalen Hurts sees the game better than Josh Allen and at times Lamar Jackson. He's more patient with it. And I believe that. Okay? I think it's got to start with smarts, how you see the game. It doesn't start with anything else other than your smarts for the game. Okay? Sills, the reason Cooper fell was because he's white. Yeah. And the reason McCaffrey didn't win the Heisman was because he was white. Yeah. That's right. What? Hey, Samuel, are you under the impression this country does in stereotype? I mean, wake up here. We stereotype everybody. I mean, that's why for me, when I look at a football player, I look at a football player first and foremost, how I evaluate him. Are you productive? Are you smart? Are you a workaholic? And can you be coached? I don't talk about athleticism. Welcome to the NFL. If you're getting drafted, you're an athlete anyway. That's the last thing on my mind. Hey, man, this guy's a really great athlete. Like the kid from Texas A&M. If you start with me, he's a great athlete. Fuck that. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Are you productive? Are you smart? Are you a workaholic? And can you be coached? Those are the four most important things to me when I'm looking at a football player. I want to see your production line. You know what my most important thing was for me? That I had the most production of any player that I played with, whether it was Jerome, Benny Blades, whomever it was. I wanted to have more production than you, not a better grade. I didn't want to make athletic plays. I wanted to make more football plays. Sills, what do you think of the kid Cam Skidabo? Plays the right way. You're talking about the running back from Arizona State. You might get him in the third round. I heard he didn't have a very good combine. And he went to Sacramento State. Then he transferred to Arizona State. I actually like the kid. But, I mean, impact, what kind of player he is. Somebody was trying to compare him to Mike Allstott. And I don't see – Mike Allstott was faster. I covered Mike Allstott. And I don't think – he plays like Mike. Mike was a great fullback, had great vision, and could run. Crowley says that Skidabo is a ball player. Okay, well, I think he's a good football player. Would I take him in the fourth round, third round, make him my red zone guy in Philly, have him in front of maybe a couple fullback sets with him, and give him the opportunity to run the ball? Sure. Why not? Okay, but I don't know. Sill's take was Arnold over Mitchell, wasn't it? Yeah. He started. Played on a very good football team. Finished fifth in the Rookie of the Year. Arnold wasn't bad. Let's see how their careers go. That kid started every game last year for the Detroit Lions. Finished 5th in the Rookie of the Year. Your guy finished 2nd. Okay? Congratulations. Okay? Allstott was absolutely nothing like the kid. Only comparison is he's white. Mike Allstott's a good football player. Yeah. And Mike was underrated. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mike Allstott playing the fullback position, I think he made the Pro Bowl 8 times. You could make a conversation that he has some pretty good years where he gained a lot of yards, and I think he's been to 8 Pro Bowls. Seals, did you know Andre Waters personally? Was he as tough as I heard on and off the field? That sign that I got behind me there, Charlie, I got Andre Waters signed it for me. Jerome's Golf Classic. I knew Andre Waters very well. Former Eagle when he played, and he used to come into my studio because he lived in the Tampa area. And I became very good friends with him. And he is one of the most intimidating men that's ever stepped on a football field. Was Andre Waters. Yes. Everything you read about him and everything you heard about him was true. But he was a really great guy. Give you the shirt off his back. If you were honest with him, you couldn't mess around with him too much because he would thought you were trying to insult him or clown him. That's one guy you don't want to clown. See, you got to remember when you're in a locker room with some of these guys, some guys you can mess around with and have fun with. Some guys, I saw a guy get his ass kicked once because he was just doing this to his pencil on his desk. I'm sitting next to him, my friend Crawford Kerr. And on the other side, there was a guy named Eugene Lockhart, played linebacker for the Cowboys. And this rookie guy thought he could go over there and start taking liberties with Eugene. And he was messing with his pencil. Eugene got up and knocked him out. And the kid looked up at me and goes, "What did I do?" I go, "Hey, man, some of these guys will go dark on you. They just, some people in those locker rooms you can mess with. Some people you can't. You got to know when you're in that locker room on who to mess with and who to have fun with. Because that's, and Andre Waters was one of them guys. You could mess around with Reggie, have fun with Reggie. You could mess around a little bit with Jerome. If Jerome thought you were going to start being an asshole to him, though, he'd beat your ass up. Yeah. Clyde Simmons was a really good guy. Seth is nicer now than he used to be. I know. It may not look it, but Seth is nicer now than he used to be when he played. Seth was a tough dude. Okay? John Lynch is why I like Denver. John is a dear friend of ours. I worked for his dad, actually, in the radio business in San Diego. John had a great personality. John Lynch played baseball. And his first sport, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think John Lynch was one of the first players signed by the Marlins and drafted by the Marlins out of Stanford. And I think he played Major League Baseball with Jeff Conine. And then he left, and then he got drafted by the Bucks. And I think he played Major League Baseball first. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he played Major League Baseball. Yeah, Brian Urlacher was a good football player. I think he played at New Mexico and came out of college. Jimmy Johnson had recruited him and also was going to sign him. And Brian Urlacher was a really good ball player. He was, but I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he was like 215 when he came out of college. John Lynch was a tone setter. He was an absolute tone setter, man. Just a great football player. Okay. As an Eagle fan, Trent Williams is why I keep an eye on Washington and the 49ers. If I had to pick between Trent Williams and Jason Peters, Trent Williams and Jason Peters, they're better than Lane. But all three are Hall of Famers. And it's this close, paper thin. Man, that's a tough one. Jason Peters or Trent. It's almost a tie. Okay? It's almost a tie. Okay, all three of them are just superstar ball players. Just superstar. Not saying PFF. They got Arnold ranked 179. Well, actually, Cooper DeJean's not a corner. The slot corner is a misleading number where he says he's ranked 4th. Okay, that's misleading. He plays more of a safety position than he does a corner position. Vic Fangio would say the same thing. So bleed green, that's misleading. Guys, tomorrow we're going to have Craig Carton on. That'll be at 3:30. Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30. Fantastic stuff. We appreciate you dudes so much. And Sue, we are 24 days away from the start of training camp or the draft. 31 days on that decision with Jordan Davis. Big news coming up here. We're going to know a little bit more about what the Eagles are going to do with Jordan Davis. Okay, you guys are awesome. M. Reyes, you take it easy as well. Big Z, Big Joe, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow. Guys, I appreciate it. Hit that like button. We'll see you on the flip side.